Before you dive into the video, don't forget to smash that like button and hit subscribe. Your support means the world. Now, let's get into it. Konohagakure, morning of the Genin exam. It was a normal day in Konoha, as the sun rose in the sky, waking many as it cast its glow across the land. One of those who awoke was Naruto Uzumaki, academy student, and Jinchuriki of the Kyubi no Kitsune, the demon that attacked the village 15 years ago, raising the age. As kids fighting life or death battles is stupid, many lives were lost in the struggle. One such life was that of Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, as his death came in the only way that could stop the fox, by sealing it into his only son, Naruto. The technique, the Reaper Death Seal, was capable of sealing anything, even the fox, but at the cost of life of the one performing the jutsu, as the jutsu was also a summoning. The being that is summoned is none other than the Reaper, the death god himself, and once the seal is complete, he takes his price, the soul of the one who summoned him. Even with such a powerful seal, the fox could not be contained by a simple object, or an adult. Its chakra would corrode the vessel, or simply break out. As such, the vessel must be a child, with its umbilical cord freshly cut, as its chakra coils could adapt to the fox's chakra. And while the fourth Hokage's wish for his son to be seen as a hero was a last request, it was sadly disrespected, for the grief of the lives lost turned to anger among the villagers, and once Sarutobi Hiruzen, the reinstated third Hokage, revealed what happened, the tears of the crowd turned to death threats, directed at the child who never knew, who never even committed a sin, but was treated as murderer. But despite the glares and death threats, Naruto pushed them aside, never giving in to the hate that surrounded him. And while Naruto acted a fool for everyone in the village to see, he certainly wasn't, as he knew what the seal on his stomach was, and what it held. It didn't take much to figure out, as the curses included fox brat, demon spawn, and other such things. Shaking his head and rubbing his eyes at the last of the Sandman's sand, Naruto spotted the calendar near his bed, and smirked. Well, what do you know? Guess it's time I stop messing around. Hopefully it won't be the Bunshin clone jutsu again this year. That damn jutsu is the only one I can't do out of the three, oh well. Donning his usual orange jumpsuit, for the last time, he mentally added, he went to his cabinet in the kitchen, pulling out a cup of instant ramen, then set the kettle for it to boil. After the kettle started to whistle, and the ramen cooked, he started to think, I still don't get it, why me, why must it have been me? I know I will never get an answer, but, still seeing his breakfast ready, Naruto slurped up the noodles, and headed out the door, toward the academy, not knowing of the events to come. Ninja Academy, front gate. At the entrance to the school stood a girl, her eyes darting all over the street, as if looking for something, or someone. Her dark blue hair fell down her back, reaching her butt, her dark blue pants reaching her ankles, with tape covering them. She also wore a black undershirt over a fishnet shirt, all off this topped off with a large jacket, hiding the shirt, as well as her C-cup breasts. The jacket was gray in the top half, while dark blue in the bottom half. This girl was Hinata Hyuga, heiress to the Hyuga clan, and one of the few in the village to show Naruto any emotion besides anger. In fact, it was well known that she was in love with the boy, though she did try to hide it. As she looked down the road leading to the gate of the school, she saw Naruto walking toward her, a calm expression on his usually happy-go-lucky exterior. As he approached, she said, more like stuttered, I won't write it, just imagine she is. Good morning Naruto-kun, are you ready for the test? Naruto looked at her, and in a voice that was as calm as the expression on his face, said, as long as it's not the Bunshin technique again, I'm sure I'll do just fine, but, he holds out his hand, shall we head inside? Hinata blushes at the action, not knowing how to respond, but quickly nods her head, and walks next to Naruto on their way inside to the classroom. Ninja Academy Irika's classroom. The classroom was filled with voices of the genin hopefuls, as they each eagerly awaited the test, and the future as shinobi. Among them were some of the soon-to-be rookie 9. First, was a boy sleeping in the back of the room. He wore a brown short-sleeved vest over a fishnet undershirt, dark brown pants, and blue shinobi sandals. His brown hair was pulled back, resembling a pineapple. His name was Shikamaru Nara, heir to the Nara clan, Konoha's shadow users. Sitting next to him, eating what looked like his fourth bag of chips this half hour, was a chubby kid, wearing a green jacket, a gray shirt with the kanji 4 on the front, blue pants, and blue sandals. His name was Choji Akimichi, heir to the Akimichi clan, Konoha's giants. Sitting near the back of the room, was a rather stoic boy, his hair similar to an afro, looks that way to me. He wore a large jacket, which covered most of his body, it blocked his mouth from view, and the sleeves came down to half his hand, his round sunglasses hiding his eyes. He wore brown pants, and had the standard blue sandals. His name was Shino Aburame, heir to the Aburame clan, wielders of the insect contract. Sitting in another part of the room, was a loud boy, who seemed to be talking to his pet dog. He wore a brown jacket, with fur on the hood of it. He wore brown pants, along with the standard sandals. His name was Kiba Inuzuka, heir to the Inuzuka clan, a clan famous for their feral nature, as well as their partnership with Ninken, ninja dogs. His partner was Akamaru, a dog-wolf mixed breed. Sitting in the far corner of the room, was a raven-haired boy, his face seemingly in a perpetual scowl, as if it were set in stone. He wore a baggy blue shirt with a high collar, gray arm warmers with blue bands at the ends of them. He wore white shorts that came to his knees, white tape wrapped around his ankles, and blue ninja sandals. The sign of his clan, a white and red fan, an Uchiwa, was on the back of his shirt. His name was Sasuke Uchiha, the last loyal Uchiha, a clan that once was the police force of the village, until it was destroyed by Sasuke's older brother, Itachi Uchiha, yet no one knows why he did it, but he did. Not far behind him, sat two girls, one with blonde hair, and the other had pink hair. The blonde wore a rather revealing outfit, as she wore a purple skirt that came down to her knees, and a purple sleeveless top, with serosure covering what the outfit didn't. Her name was Ino Yamanaka, of the Yamanaka clan, Konoha's mind walkers. The girl with pink hair wore a red battle dress, with black biker shorts underneath. Her hair fell past her shoulders, with a red ribbon holding her hair up. She was Sakura Haruno, the only one who wasn't from an actual clan. This was the sight Naruto and Hinata walked into, as they saw that their fellow classmates were just as excited as they were. Not wanting to sit next to the king of brood, Naruto asked, "Mind if I sit next to you today, Hinata-chan?" Hinata, still not trusting her voice due to the suffix, simply nodded her head. After they sat down to wait for their teacher, Kiba looked up and saw the two sitting together, something he didn't like. He walked over to where they were sitting, and had a look of utmost contempt, which he voiced, "Hey Dobe, get the hell away from her, she's my woman, not yours." Naruto merely looked at Kiba from the corner of his eye, not even turning his head, and with his voice still as calm as ever, said, "She's yours?" "Last I checked, dog breath, Hinata-chan was a human being, not owned by anyone, and I clearly don't see your name on her anywhere, so I guess you are talking like what you reek of, straight shit." The entire class froze, even Irika, the Chunin instructor, who had just walked in, stopped in his tracks. The entire room was silent, until Choji found his voice and said, "Oh damn, Naruto played the shit out of him," that got the entire class roaring with laughter, even Sasuke was rolling on the floor, which made some people who saw this either stare, fangirls, or run to the window to see if the end of the world was at hand. Kiba, on the other hand, was pissed at the remark, and in his anger, tried to punch Naruto, regardless of the fact that Hinata was close by. Seeing this, Naruto got up, and in a fluid motion that most but the people right next to him couldn't catch, he grabbed Kiba's fist, pushed it out the way with his left hand, and with his right, was about to deliver a knife strike, but stopped before he hit the chest, and quickly delivered a punch to same spot, 1. Kiba flew back to his seat, clearly knocked out. The class was silent again, until Shikamaru got up, walked next to Kiba's seat, and said, "Damn, you got knocked the fuck out." 2. He then went back to his seat, and to sleep. Irika merely stood there wide-eyed, as he never heard Naruto speak that way, nor Shikamaru. Deciding to skip to the test, he said, "Alright, we will begin with a short written test, then go outside for the taijutsu, hand-to-hand, portion, and then come back inside for the ninjutsu, ninja art, exam." He sees Mizuki walk in with the test papers. Mizuki will hand each of you your tests, you have 30 minutes, begin. Naruto looked down at his test, and saw that it was different from the one Hinata received, and while he knew his skill in Genjutsu, illusions, was poor, he knew how to detect and dispel one. Placing his hands in the ram's seal, Naruto muttered, "Kai, release," so no one would hear it, as the illusion disappeared, revealing the real paper test, with each question one that Naruto answered easily. 25 minutes later. Iruka called for time, Mizuki going around to collect the tests to be graded. Iruka led then students outside, while he explained the test. The taijutsu test is one-on-one, with the score determined by how well you do, not by if you win. There will be no ninjutsu, or weapons of any kind. If you are knocked out of the ring, it is an automatic loss. When I call your name, you can pick your opponent, but it can't be someone who has already gone. The same goes for the ones picked by a student. Up first, Sasuke Uchiha. As Sasuke walked into the circle, he knew who he would pick as his opponent. When Iruka asked, "Who will you be going against?" Sasuke responded, "Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto, who was sitting next to Hinata under a tree, got up with a sigh, and walked to the circle, his hands in his pockets. Naruto saw Sasuke smirk, and knew that Sasuke was expecting an easy win, but that won't happen. At Iruka's call of begin, Sasuke charged forward, using his family's interceptor style, with the intent to end the match quickly. As Sasuke threw his fist forward, Naruto leaned back, and with a simple twist of his body, kicked Sasuke in the side of the head, knocking him out of the ring. Naruto merely put his hands back in his pockets, a calm expression still on his face. As the matches progressed, Naruto felt an urge to fight, not sure where it came from. Once the fights were over, Iruka called them inside, so as to finish the last part of the test, the jutsu portion. Classroom. Once everyone was seated, Iruka began explaining the test. The last test is a simple one, merely create 3 clones, and you pass. Naruto was starting to sweat, thinking, damn it, it had to be the one I suck at, didn't it, shit. Hinata saw Naruto's distress, but could do nothing, as she was called for the test next. Naruto was mentally cursing his bad luck, and he saw that Sasuke was finished his test, a headband fastened, having a shit-eating grin on his face that made the fangirls swoon, idiots. Iruka saw Naruto's distress as well, as was saying multiple apologies in his head over the bad luck, but Mizuki picked the test, so he could do nothing. He said, "Naruto, it's time for you to take the test." Naruto got up, and as he walked down the stairs to the front of the class, he heard his classmates, especially Sakura and Ino, make fun of him, saying, "That loser will never pass, he can't use that jutsu to save his hide." Naruto, ignoring all of the jabs, stood in front of Iruka and Mizuki, and performed the needed hand signs. But before he used the jutsu, he felt his chakra drain, messing up his control, causing instead of 3 clones, there was 1, and it looked half dead. This caused the class to laugh, while Hinata looked down sadly. Iruka said, "I'm sorry Naruto, but, you failed, and while your earlier performance was impressive, without a passing grade on this test, you won't have enough points to pass, I'm sorry." Naruto, now having an almost dead look in his eye, simply walked back to his seat, no one saying a single word. Iruka then said, "Congrats to all students who passed, please come back in tomorrow to find out which team you will end up on. Until then, Johnny." And with that, he performed the shunshin, body flicker, to leave the room. The rest of the class left soon after. Outside the academy, Naruto sat on the swing that was placed in the yard, watching as his classmates were greeted with smiles and hugs from their parents. He watched with eyes filled with envy, as that was something he truly longed for, but never gained. He saw 2 of the women speaking. Their expressions made what they were talking about all the more obvious. He sensed Mizuki approach, but did not react until he spoke. "Hey Naruto, I'm sorry about Iruka, he really wanted to see you pass, but there is a way to make it up." Naruto looked at Mizuki, already suspicious of the teacher's intention, but said nothing. Mizuki continued, "There is a scroll in the Hokage tower, if you find it, get it out of the tower, and can learn one jutsu from it, you can become a genin, good huh? Naruto, now fully aware of what Mizuki was saying, agreed, as while he saw the expression on the teacher's face was kind, he saw the malice in Mizuki's eyes. Deciding to play along, he said, "What do I need to do?" Mizuki smirked, handing Naruto a map of where he needed to go, saying, "Go to the Hokage library, take the scroll, and go to this location, I'll grade you when I get there." Naruto sped off to get ready, while Mizuki walked the other way, neither seeing the smirk the other had. Timeskip, forest clearing. Naruto landed in the clearing, the old shack where it was supposed to be, and the forbidden scroll on his back. After removing it from his back, he rolled it out, and saw the first jutsu. Shadow clones, damn more clones, wait, the shadow clone is more advanced, as it requires a large amount of chakra to use, and control is not really required, as the chakra for an individual clone is as much as the user puts into it. Damn, this clone technique fits me well, and it only needs a single hand sign. Perfect, I can use this. As he got to work with the jutsu, he noticed that he had none of the problems he had with the regular clone. Seeing that his progress was okay, Naruto went back to the scroll, and unraveled it farther, but stopped at an odd seal. Looking it over, he saw a blood seal, a lesson he had stayed awake for during the academy. He bit his thumb, and swiped it across the seal, allowing the contents to be revealed. What he had unsealed was another scroll, a little smaller than the forbidden scroll, and a letter. It seemed pretty old, but seeing as Naruto had plenty of time left, he opened the letter, and read the contents. To the one who reads this, there is only one reason this letter is being read, and that is if someone of my blood found the seal, and opened it. You may ask who I am, and there is only one answer: I am Kratos, son of the god Zeus, and former god of war. I was once a Spartan general, feared for my tactics, but one day, I faced an army of barbarians, and was nearly killed. But, as a last-ditch effort to save myself, I pleaded Ares, the god of war, to save my life, and destroy my enemies. In exchange, I vowed to serve him, and fight in his name, and so, he gave me the blades of chaos, twin short swords that were to forever remain chained to my wrists. I followed Ares's orders, going after all the temples, and followers of Athena, the goddess of war, 3, and Ares's sister. One day, I was ordered to attack a village. Within it was a temple of Athena, but there was something in there, saying I never should enter it, but I did, and killed all that were inside. When the fog died out, I saw that my family, my wife and child, slain, because of my foolishness. It was a trick by Ares, he did it so I could be a better warrior, but it didn't matter. I was cursed by the town's oracle, to forever bear the mark of my sin, the ashes of my dead family, stuck to my skin, never to be removed. For 10 years, I slaved as a champion for the gods, slaying beasts, and taking down all threats to the world and Olympus, hoping to rid myself of the nightmares that plagued me. Until one day, I was ordered by Athena to save her city, Athens, from Ares. He was trying to destroy the city, to prove himself better. My task was to kill the god of war. But to do so, I needed to obtain Pandora's box, which would give me the power to kill Ares. I was forced to go through the temple that was built to guard it, defeating all the traps that laid inside. As I reached the entrance to the temple, box in hand, Ares found out the plan, and with the skill of a god, he tossed a spear of rock, impaling me, and killing me. Naruto was wide-eyed, but continued to read. I fell down to the river Styx in the underworld, but I was not ready to die just yet, and so by a stroke of luck, I grabbed a ledge in the underworld, and began to find a way out. Upon doing so, I returned to Earth, and faced Ares, ultimately killing him. But the nightmares did not end. The gods broke their promise to me, and so I cast myself from the tallest cliff in Greece, hoping to end it. But the gods wouldn't allow it, and so I was saved, and was given the title, God of War, as Ares's death left a spot on Olympus. But it would not last. Soon, I was betrayed again, by the gods on Olympus themselves. A Spartan army was attacking the city of Rhodes, and I went down to aid them, to finish the city, for the glory of Sparta. But the gods on Olympus had other plans, as Zeus, disguised as an owl, brought a statue in the city to life, a rather large statue. I faced the beast, and the battle raged across the city. But Zeus interfered, tricked me into draining my powers away into the blade of Olympus, a sword that ended the war between the gods and titans. He told me if I did so, then my full power would be revealed. It was a lie. Draining my powers made me mortal again, and Zeus was able to kill me, using the blade. I once again was dragged into Hades, the hands of death pulling me down, but I was saved again, but not by a god, but a titan. Gaia, titan of earth, healed my wound, and reminded me of my heritage as a Spartan, as well as gave me aid in my quest for revenge. She led me to the Sisters of Fate, whose power I could use to go back in time, to kill Zeus when he was vulnerable. I traversed the Temple of the Sisters, going to the island of creation, where they resided. I faced various heroes, such as Theseus, and even Perseus, on my way to the sisters. But even the sisters themselves tried to stop me, and they died, leaving the threads of fate for me to control. As I went back in time, I stopped Zeus from killing me, and stole back the blade of Olympus. I fought Zeus, and would have killed him, had Athena not jumped in the way. Zeus escaped, and with her dying breath, Athena told me that I was a son of Zeus, and warned me not to kill him. I once again used the threads, but I went back further, to the moment when Zeus used the blade to end the war. I took the Titans back to my time, and together, we waged war on Olympus. As I rode on Gaia's back, we were attacked by Poseidon. He used his power over water to fight, and yet he still fell by my blade. When he died, the seas rose, now that their lord was no more. And this continued. Gaia climbed higher up Olympus, and we confronted Zeus, but was knocked straight back down the mountain. Gaia grabbed a ledge, but as I held on, she revealed that I was merely a pawn in her own quest for revenge. With a tremor, I was knocked back all the way down to Hades once again. As I made my way through the river Styx, the ghouls that swam in it attacked me, and robbed me of my powers. I was able to get to a shore, where I ran into Athena, who was now on a higher plane of existence. She gave me the blades of exile, in order for my revenge to succeed. I traveled through the underworld, and killed Hades, god of the dead, and met a young girl, named Pandora. She reminded me of my own daughter, but in order to reach the flame of Olympus, the source of Zeus's power, I needed her help. I made my way through Olympus, killing any god that got in my way: Hermes, the messenger; Helios, the sun god; Hera, queen of the gods, and even Hercules stood in my way. I killed all of them, and the world was thrown into deeper chaos. I finally reached the flame, and within it was Pandora's box, and after I put out the flame with Pandora's aid, the box was useless, or so I thought. I fought Zeus for the last time and killed him. But his fear caused me to hallucinate, and I lost the weapons I gained, except the blade of Olympus. I finally killed Zeus, and the war was over, but it was hope, what remained at the bottom of the box, that saved me, and so I took the blade, and released hope into the world. Then I disappeared, never to be seen again. Along with this letter is a scroll, within which I have sealed away the weapons I have collected throughout my journeys. But do not think you will just gain them. When you reach a level of power, the seal on each weapon will become available to you, and each seal is different. And while I may no longer be alive, by the time this is read, all you need in a near-death situation is call out my name, and I will come to your aid, my descendant. May you go forth, for the glory of Sparta. Kratos, ghost of Sparta, son of Zeus, and former god of war. Naruto could not believe what he had read. He was related to God, and he had a scroll filled with his weapons. He quickly put the letter away. Remembering what was in his pouch, he pulled out a blank scroll, and while copying the blood seal, sealed away both scroll and letter. Not only 5 minutes after he put away the scroll, Iruka arrived in the clearing, a clearly pissed-off expression on his face. Iruka said, "What is wrong with you, Naruto? Why did you steal the forbidden scroll?" Naruto merely sighed, his suspicion proven. Naruto said, "So this wasn't a make-up test, I thought so. It seems Mizuki was after this scroll, and used me to get it, isn't that right?" Iruka merely heard the sound of kunai, and he and Naruto moved away, as the kunai passed them. Mizuki stood on a tree branch, a sht-eating grin on his face, a pair of Fuma shuriken on his back. He spoke up saying, "Good job Naruto, now hand over the scroll, and then you can become a genin." Naruto didn't even move, or made any to give the chunin the scroll. Iruka was still going over what Naruto said, as if Naruto knew it was a trap, and needed to prove it. Naruto stood up, and Iruka screamed, "Don't give him the scroll, run away." Naruto turned his head in Iruka's direction, a cold look in his eyes. It put Iruka on edge, to see it. Naruto turned back to the obvious traitor, and heard him say, "Have you ever wondered why you were hated all these years? Why the village saw you as nothing more than a demon?" Iruka, knowing where this was going, screamed, "Don't tell him, you know it's forbidden." Mizuki ignored the chunin, and said, 15 years ago, a demon attacked this village. The elders tell the children that the demon was killed, but that is a lie. The truth is, the demon, the Kyubi no Kitsune, could not be killed, so instead, the fourth Hokage used a jutsu to seal it away inside you. You are the Kyubi no Kitsune, you are the demon. Both chunin looked at Naruto, one hoping for him to be alright, the other hoping for an emotional breakdown. When Mizuki saw Naruto standing, he then heard the most chilling thing, and because of what it was, but the tone behind it. "And this is news how? I already knew of the fox, and if you are so foolish to believe I am it, you better be damn drunk, or the world's biggest idiot." Iruka was trying, and failing to hold back a laugh, and Naruto continued, "But you are just as big a fool as he is. I wouldn't think of running, as that is the same as if I surrendered." And as Naruto said the next line, Iruka and Mizuki saw a translucent figure overlapping Naruto. It was a large figure, with ghostly white skin, and red tribal tattoos spiraling on the body, twin blades stuck to his back. "And Spartans never surrender." Mizuki gained a little courage, and started to laugh. "Ha ha 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 ha, nice little show you demon brat, but I guess you'll just have to die now." As he said this, Naruto merely stood in the same spot, his eyes unwavering, never showing emotion. Mizuki drew one of the Fuma shuriken off his back, and started to spin it, ready to throw it at a moment's notice. Iruka was about to move, to push Naruto out of the way, as Mizuki tossed the buzzsaw-esque blade, but Naruto moved first, shouting, "Shadow Clone Jutsu," causing 10 clones to appear, 2 grabbing Iruka and sling-shooting him into the trees, and out of the way. Mizuki, not expecting Naruto to learn the technique, was frozen as the rest of the clones, and Naruto himself, dogpiled him, each one laying a barrage of punches onto the chunin. Was Iruka watched, amazed that Naruto had not only used clones successfully, but was beating Mizuki. But it would not last. With a surge of strength, Mizuki pushed back the clones, dispelling them easily, while Naruto was blasted back. Mizuki then withdrew a vial of purple liquid, and said, "That's it, I will kill you both, and I will use the power Lord Orochimaru gave to me." Popping the cork, he quickly downed the contents of the vial, and threw it down, breaking it. He started laughing insanely, as a horrible transformation began to take place, giving him a more animalistic look. He grew a couple feet, his muscles began to grow rapidly, his skin started to be replaced with tiger fur, his nails became claws. When it was finished, he no longer looked human, more tiger than man. Mizuki then said, "No one defeat me now, this power, it feels wonderful." Mizuki grinned at the frightful look in Iruka's eyes, but the grin fell into a scowl, as he saw that Naruto still had the emotionless face as before, and so, he charged at Naruto, with intent to kill him in one strike. Naruto, seeing this, was unable to move, unable to react, so he did the one thing he could. He reared his head back and shouted Kratos for all the heavens to hear. Time slowed down, at least, it looked that way to Naruto, till it came to a complete stop. There was a bright flash, and Naruto closed his eyes, unable to look into the bright light. When he opened them, he was not standing in the middle of a clearing, but a vast wasteland, surrounded by hellfire. In front of him stood a very imposing figure. The man was easily 6 feet tall, his skin white as ash, with red tribal tattoos covering parts of his body, worn gloves covered his hands, and leg warmers attached to sandals. He wore chains, seemingly melded to his wrists, and from Naruto saw, the chains were connected to blades, two short swords on the figure's back. Then the figure spoke, "So, you are my descendant, are you? State your name, young Spartan." Naruto, regaining his composure at the question, stated, "I am Naruto Uzumaki. Am I to assume that you are Kratos?" The man, once known as the Ghost of Sparta, nodded, saying, "You are correct, child. I see you are in need of my aid, and while I cannot give you aid in battle by fighting with you, I can give you a weapon to fight with." And so Kratos raised his hand. 2 harpies, servants of the former god of war, came forth, each carrying one of 2 blades. Kratos continued, saying, "These blades were first given to me by Ares, the first god of war, and now I pass them on to you, child, but know this, if you accept these blades, the chains needed to use them will forever be melded to you, never to be removed. I gained 2 other sets of swords, which I sealed into the scroll. These blades, the blades of chaos, will guide you as you unlock the rest. Now, do you accept?" Naruto did not even think, he didn't need to, and said, "The power to protect what is dear to me, is worth any price." He held his arms outward. "I am no stranger to pain, and I will not simply expect thing to be handed to me, so if I must work to gain power, it's all the better for me." Kratos smiled at the determination of the boy, and commanded the harpies to begin the process. The chains sprang forth, wrapping themselves around Naruto's arms, though to his credit, Kratos saw Naruto barely flinch at the hot metal, unlike himself, who screamed in pain when the blades were given to him, all those years ago. Kratos saw Naruto inspecting the weapons, and said, "Those blades will grow stronger, as will you, but know this, Spartans never surrender, so long as they can hold a sword, they can fight, never stop, never look back, and fight like a true warrior." Naruto merely nodded, gripping the blades, showing he was ready. Kratos saw a bit of himself in Naruto, and said, "Now go, you have a fight to finish." Naruto then disappeared. I will have similar it to DMC, where Naruto gains the basic knowledge of how to use the weapon, but still needs to work on it. Naruto soon found himself back in the clearing, Mizuki still in a rushing oppose, time still standing still, but was slowly getting back to normal. Mizuki stopped, seeing the blades in Naruto's hands, and laughed, saying, "How pathetic, like those will do you any good." Naruto's face changed to an angry expression, stating in voice that was clearly not his own, "The hands of death could not hold me, the sisters of fate could not control me, and you will not see the end of this day." Mizuki charged once again, but Naruto, seeing a vision of Kratos using the blades, swung his arms in an arc, the chains pulling the blades with them, and Naruto saw the blades cut at Mizuki's neck, cutting off the head. Iruka could only watch as his beloved student cut off Mizuki's head, gaining his first kill. But Naruto just kept a calm expression on his face, the blades back in his hands. Iruka wondered, is the fox in control? Naruto looked down at the head of Mizuki, and knew what happened. He then went to the nearest bush, and emptied the contents of his stomach. Iruka then called him over, saying, "Naruto, I want to give you something, now close your eyes." Seeing Naruto do so, Iruka took off Naruto's goggles, and replaced them with his headband. "All right Naruto, you can open your eyes." Naruto does, "Congratulations, you graduate." The happy mood was ended by a squad of ANBU landing in the forest clearing. One of the ANBU, wearing an eagle mask, spoke, "What happened here?" Iruka, now getting up, told the ANBU members what happened. Naruto merely looked up, and said, "I doubt we would need to tell the old man anything, as he must have seen it all in that globe of his. I saw it in his office once. A white-haired man was using it to spy on women." Everyone in the clearing, even Sarutobi, who was watching from said globe, sweat dropped at the statement, while Sarutobi thought, "Jiraiya you ass." Iruka, breaking out of the trance, said, "Naruto, come to the academy tomorrow, so you can be placed on a team." Naruto nodded, and walked home, the events of the day playing in his head the whole time. Naruto arrived at his home, his ancestor scroll on his back, the blades of chaos sticking to his shoulders. After opening the door and walking inside, he placed the scroll down, and decided to read it, as he would need to understand how it worked. After opening it by using another blood seal, he saw a giant seal. It composed of 4 rings, set up in a ripple pattern. The ring in the center held 1 seal, while the others held 4 or 5 each. Underneath the large seal was a passage. It read, "Like the rings of Pandora, a puzzle I had to complete, my weapons are sealed in a similar manner. The weapons I gained on my mission to kill Ares lie in the outermost circle. The weapons I gained when I sought revenge on my father Zeus lie inside the next circle. I sealed away the weapons I gained when I led the war against Olympus within in the second innermost circle. But within the innermost circle, I sealed away the greatest weapon of all. The blade of Olympus itself. To reach the blade, you, my descendant, must prove yourself. You are able to access the first circle, but until you master each weapon within a circle, you cannot use the weapons within the next circle. The weapons are unique in themselves, as no matter how much you train with them, they will not grow stronger. What is needed to strengthen them is blood. They will absorb the blood that is shed when you kill an enemy. When the weapon begins to glow red, it is mastered. Do not waver in your resolve, as you are a Spartan, we do not give up." Naruto looked at the passage, as well as the scroll itself, in amazement. Taking the blades off his back, he saw that the blood that had coated them when he killed Mizuki was gone. He saw that the edges of the blades were a little sharper. The skull that served as the handguard had its teeth grown a little. "So I have to kill people, and let my weapons absorb the blood? I know that as a ninja I will have to kill, but how would I explain this to my teammates? Well, there's no turning back now, I'll just deal with it as it comes." He walked to his bedroom, and then thought, how am I going to sleep if I have to wear the blades constantly? As soon as he thought that, the blades came off his shoulders, and the chains seemingly vanished. He then noticed that there were chain-like tattoos on his arms, and the blades had what looked like a place to attach the chains. So Kratos made some adjustments to the blades, huh? From the way he looked, he must have had them on all the time. With the matter resolved, he went to sleep, doing so the moment his head hit the pillow. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto soon opened his eyes, but when he did, he wasn't in his apartment. He found himself in a sort of sewer, with a maze of passageways and dim lighting. He said out loud, "My mind is a damn sewer? This sucks." Seeing a passageway glowing brighter than the others, he figured, must be the Kyuubi, who else could it be? Walking down the hallway, he saw an entrance that was full white, the light blocking everything else in the room from being seen. As he stepped through, he was blinded, but when he entered the room itself, and his eyes were normal again, he saw a room that could fit the Hokage monument, with room to spare. It was easily the size of the monument height-wise, but the only thing in the room was a large gate. The gate itself was fairly plain, with an ornate design surrounding the frame, steel bars that looked like even Naruto couldn't get through. It was topped off with a paper seal stuck in the middle of the bars, acting as the lock for the cage. Naruto thought to himself, so this is the lair of the beast, wonder what it wants? He did not have to wait long for his answer, as a single red eye appeared, standing out against the darkness of the cage. "So, it seems my jailer has finally paid his prisoner a visit, how unexpected," said the fox. "You were surprised to see me? I thought you called me here, but it seems I was wrong, though I am wondering, if you didn't call me here, then who did?" said Naruto, confusing clearly on his face. A voice rang out, and a glowing archway appeared on a wall in the room. "I was the one who called you here, my descendant." Out of the archway stepped Kratos, and the fox shouted, "You, the man who slaughtered men, women, demons, and gods alike, what purpose do you have in this child's mind?" Kratos merely stared down the fox, as he did with so many beasts, and said, "This child is my descendant, and I am here to give him a weapon I found in Hades, or as it is called now, the Inferno. I believe this weapon will be useful to him." He then held out his hand, as if to grasp a staff, and a pillar of fire erupted from the ground, and when it lowered, Kratos was now holding, in a sense, the most beautiful, or horrific scythe Naruto ever saw. The entire pole of the scythe resembled a human spine, the blade itself was double-sided, a longer blade facing the front of the weapon, while a shorter blade faced backwards. The front blade had two handles sticking out, allowing for easier use of the weapon close quarters. Naruto whistled. The weapon was excellent, and it certainly looked fierce. My, you have quite the eye for weapons, huh? I wonder what this one is capable of. Kratos smirked slightly, and said, why not try it? I myself never used a scythe, but the man I got this from had no need of it. Naruto reached for the weapon, and as soon as he touched it, memories that were not his own flooded his mind. They were of a man dressed in armor, wearing white clothes with a red cross on his chest. Naruto saw how effortlessly he wielded the scythe, and Kratos stepped back, Kyuubi watching with interest. Naruto tested the scythe with a few swings, and saw it stretched out. When Naruto swung it down, the blade moved to a stabbing position, changing it from a scythe to a spear. Getting an idea, Naruto thrusted the blade forward, the pole stretching as it impaled the wall. Naruto almost had maniac grin at the versatility of the weapon, as it covered many areas. Kratos said, this weapon will help you learn how to use a spear, it will be useful for when you unlock some of my other weapons. It will fit in my scroll, within the outermost ring. I trust you will use it properly. And with that, Kratos stepped back into the archway, a smirk never leaving his face. By the old gods, I never imagined my jailer was tied to that man. This makes this far more interesting. Perhaps I should slip into something more comfortable for you to speak with, said the fox. It almost had a sultry sound to its voice. The outline of the fox shrank, taking on a more human appearance. The figure then stepped closer to the cage saying, I hope this form is more appealing to you. What Naruto saw had his jaw drop. It was a red-headed woman, with long slender legs, her hair reaching her butt. She wore a blood-red kimono with foxes imprinted on it. Her heart-shaped face showed her blood-red eyes, along with whisker marks similar to his own. Her mouth curved in a sensuous smirk. Seeing her container was speechless, she said, I guess you like what you see. My, to think the son of the man who sealed me would stand in awe at my beauty. Naruto picked up his jaw and said, My, it seems a lot of fools in this village are wrong. You make the second person who has done that. Kyuubi's eyebrow rose as she said, the second? What are you talking about? Naruto smirked and said, most guys in the elemental countries think women are weak, IWA being a prime example. Everyone must have thought you were a guy. But, the one woman every man is scared of, is Tsunade of the Sannin. The fact that you are a girl just cements the idea that women can as strong as men. Kyuubi smiled at the obvious compliment. My, you know how to talk to women. But how would people mistake me for a guy? Naruto said, change your voice to that of your demon form, and tell me. Kyuubi did and said, I still don't see how, crap. Change his voice back, I sound like a guy. I sounded like a guy. Naruto couldn't help but chuckle, but said, that's the problem. But anyway, it seems like morning is coming, and if I don't show up at the academy, well, I don't need to say it. He walked over to the cage, and used one hand to pick up her chin, and said, it must get lonely in here. If you ever need to see me for something, or to do anything, I will gladly oblige you. Naruto then vanished from his mind, leaving Kyuubi to think, dear sweet Kami-sama, I almost wanted him to stay for his offer, I hope it wasn't a joke. Naruto's apartment. Naruto woke up, and heard a knocking sound from the door. Tense because people tried to attack him this way before, he called his blades to his hands, the chains reappearing on his forearms, one end of each connecting to the handle of the blades each. Keeping one blade at ready, he opened the door, and saw a ANBU keeling in front of his door. There wasn't anything unusual about the ANBU, as Naruto had seen them in the village before. But the mask was blank, the only thing on it was the kanji 4 root painted on the forehead. Naruto said, what business do you have here, ANBU? The ANBU bowed his head and said, forgive me for disturbing you Naruto-sama, I was told to inform you that there will be a council meeting later today. You are to arrive at 2 p.m., no exceptions. Naruto immediately gained a scowl on his face at the mention of a council meeting, but said, I will be there, and be sure to give Danzo my thanks for the warning. The ANBU froze at the name, but left quickly. Naruto looked at his clock, and noticed he had an hour till class. He thought, now that I'm a shinobi, I won't have to settle with the civilian stores, and I know just what I need to get. He went into his room, got dressed, and headed out the door. He knew of a shinobi store that was close by. Takashi Weapon Shop. As Naruto approached the store, he saw a girl at least 16, a year older than himself. She wore green pants, a pink Chinese top, and her brown hair sported two neat buns. She was sweeping the front of the store, and about to open it for the day. Naruto said, "Hey, is the shop open yet?" The girl looked back and said, "It is now. What's your name? I never saw you at the shop before." Naruto smirked and said, "Isn't it polite to give your own name before asking for someone else?" The girl blushed but said, "My name is Ten. My father runs this shop, but why haven't I seen you here before?" "You are a ninja, right?" Naruto said, "I became one yesterday, so I couldn't go into a shinobi store before then. I was stuck dealing with the civilian stores until I graduated. But now that I have, it's time to get out of this." He gestured his jumpsuit, and into something more appropriate for my career. Ten merely looked at the outfit and couldn't agree fast enough, and she said, "Good call. If you go on missions looking like that, you're a walking target." Naruto nodded and said, "Exactly, that's why I need to change this. Besides, I have my meeting with the sensei today, and I want to make a good impression, and nothing is better than showing you're serious." Ten, who knew of Naruto from people talking about him during her stint at the academy, was surprised, as what she heard about him was proven false just by how he spoke. She heard he was a fool, a loudmouth, someone who would run out and do something stupid at a moment's notice. But the young man in front of her was calm, collected, and spoke like an educated adult. She then said, "Well, we can't stay out here all day, let's head in and get you what you need." The duo headed into the shop, and immediately Naruto knew what to get. The store was lined with weapons, clothes, and all essentials a shinobi would need. Naruto grabbed clothes faster than Ten had ever seen, even better than her teammate. She saw him rush into the changing room, so she waited. 10 minutes later, the curtain to the changing room was pulled back, and Tenten's jaw could only drop at the sight. Naruto had completely dropped the color orange altogether, going with a short-sleeved coat, similar to the yondaime, yet it was black with crimson-red flames. He wore black pants that came down to just under his knees, his shins covered by shin guards, which were secured with chains. He went with black shinobi sandals to replace his previous blue ones. Under his coat he wore a fishnet shirt, which showed he was, by Tenten's opinion, ripped, the six-pack proving the point. He wore arm warmers on his forearm, and black fingerless gloves. His ancestors' scroll on his back, the blades at the ready at his shoulders. Breaking her out of her stupor, he said, "Exactly how much will this cost?" Shaking her head, she replied, "That will be 200 ryu even." Naruto opened his wallet, stuffed with bills he thought he would need out of paranoia. Always getting overcharged sucked. After getting out the appropriate amount of money, he laid it down and said, "As fun as talking to a pretty girl like yourself is, I must get to the academy, can't be late." Ten nodded her head, trying to hold down the blush which was quickly rising on her face. Naruto said, "I'll be back later, as I will need more of the same outfits, till then." He then left the store, Ten quickly checking the receipt, and gathered a few copies of the outfit, so that Naruto would just need to pick them up, and put them away. Ninja Academy Classroom. Everyone was excited to begin their careers, they spoke amongst friends, hoping to be on a team together. The Sasuke fan club was gossiping, each girl in it wanted to be alone with the last Uchiha. There was one girl who didn't look happy, seeing as the person she wanted to see wasn't here, meaning he didn't graduate. Hinata was depressed as she didn't see Naruto, knowing he failed. The door to the classroom opened, and everyone's head turned to it, thinking they would see Ino and Sakura fighting again, but instead, they saw Naruto in his new attire, headband and all, causing several girls to blush, and guys to become envious. Hinata cheered in her mind, happy she still had a chance to be on the same team as her crush. Kiba, the ever-present nuisance, spoke up saying, "Hey dead last, what the hell are you doing here? This class is for those of us who graduated, something you didn't do." Naruto thumbed his headband, and said, "Your eyes must be as bad as your body odor, as I do have a headband, so I did graduate. Now if you'll excuse me, a lovely lady has been waiting for me, and it would be rude to keep her waiting." The classroom started to chuckle at Naruto's words to Kiba, and were surprised Naruto started to walk over to Hinata. Said girl was blushing up a storm, still not used to hearing Naruto call her that. Kiba, as usual, did not like the fact Naruto was getting close to Hinata. Then he saw the blades on Naruto's back, and said, "Where the hell did you get those swords dead last? And what's with the scroll?" Naruto was unable to speak, as the screeching duo, Ino and Sakura, busted through the door, each of them shouting at the other. Naruto clutched at his ears, as his hearing was more sensitive than usual. "Gotta ask Kai-chan about that later, but for now, will you both shut up?" he thought, then shouted, in order. "Kami forbid, I think the people in Kiri heard you both." Sakura was the first to respond saying, "Shut up Naruto, at least we graduated, unlike you, so why the hell are you in here? This class is for those who passed, idiot." Naruto was quickly losing his patience, but said, "Like I told Mutface, I did pass, I have the headband to prove it." Sakura scoffed and said, "Yeah right, I bet that's a fake, isn't that right Sasuke-kun?" Just as the pink-haired banshee turned her head to face her crush, one of the blades slammed into the desk behind her, the fire around it still there, but it was dying out already, the desk not even singed. She noticed her hair was cut slightly, and she saw a chain attached to the handle. She followed the chain back to Naruto, and when she saw this, she screamed, "What the hell Naruto Baka, are you trying to kill me?" "That was the idea dumbass, but it looks like my aim was off, guess I need to practice." "Honestly, did you really think the way I acted was the real me? If so, you're dead wrong. The way I used to be was an act, a mask, to fool everyone into thinking I was weaker than I was. I proved it yesterday, and I can damn well do it right here, right now." Everyone's face held an expression of shock, anger, or happiness. Hinata was happy that Naruto didn't like Sakura, Kiba was angry that Naruto looked cool doing it. A dark-haired girl in the back thought, Danzo-sama was right, Naruto-sama is certainly interesting. Sasuke, in all his idiocy, said, "Hand over those blades dead last, an Uchiha like me could use them better than you ever could." Naruto held a look of utter disgust, as he said, "These are a family heirloom you filth, only those of my blood are able to use them, and even if I wanted to hand them over, and that is a non-existent if, I am unable to due to the fact that they are attached to me." He held up his arms, and everyone saw the chains connecting the blades to his arms, the arm warmers making it so they didn't seem like it at first. But at close glance, it was easy to see. But as always, Sakura still wanted to add her 2 cents. "Stop lying you dead last, now give those blades to Sasuke-kun, he needs them more than you." It was at that moment that Iruka entered the room, and he heard what Naruto said next. "I could care less who it is, or what the demand is, if anyone dares to steal my family heirlooms from me, I will send you straight to the inferno." Iruka cleared his throat, and said, "Sakura, trying to take a clan heirloom is a serious crime, I would not try to press the issue, as Naruto is well within rights to carry out his threat. So now that we are done with that, I will proceed to the team arrangements. Squad 1, skipping the first 6, Squad 7, Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha, and Kiba Inuzuka. Your sensei is Kakashi Hatake." Sasuke didn't look like he gave a shit, Sakura was rubbing it in Ino's face, and Kiba was pissed because he had to be on a different team than Hinata. Iruka continued, saying, Squad 8 is Hinata Hyuga, Shino Aburame, and Saya. Your sensei is Kurina Yuhi. Hinata was sad she wasn't with her crush on the team, but was grateful that Kiba wasn't. She looked at the back of the class to see her teammate. Saya wore mostly black, she wore a short-sleeved shirt, a kodachi on her back, and what looked like a paint set with a few scrolls. The shirt came down to her midriff, black fingerless gloves, and she wore black shinobi pants. Her black hair came down to her shoulder. Saya saw Hinata looking at her, and gave a small smile, at least it looked that way. Irika continued, Squad 9 is still in circulation from last year, Squad 10 is Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Choji Akimichi. Your sensei is Asuma Sarutobi. Ino was depressed, Shikamaru didn't care, and Choji was still eating his food. Sakura saw that Naruto wasn't on a team, so she said, Irika-sensei, what about Naruto Baka? He doesn't have a team. Irika sighed, knowing this was going to happen, and said, Naruto isn't on a team because him graduating offset the amount of genin, but he will still have a sensei. Naruto, he looks down at the name of the sensei Naruto has, and shudders, your sensei is Anko Madarashi. You will be working with Kurenai's team on all of their missions that are C-ranked and over. Naruto sported a maniac grin on his face, creeping out some of the genin, the ones who fail, and Hinata was happy that she could still work with her crush. Saya was grinning, with her being on this team, Kiba would be unable to antagonize Naruto, and he would not deal with the Uchiha. Irika said, Naruto, I honestly feel sorry for you. Anko is not the most stable of people. Naruto just grinned wider, his teeth showing to be sharper than normal, saying, oh, who says I'm not in the same boat as her? It's rude to judge someone based on their actions, I myself have proven that much. Irika gulped, and said, okay, your senseis will arrive shortly. I wish you all luck on your careers. He quickly ran out the room, shouting, thank Kami, I don't have to hear that damn Uchiha anymore. Naruto and the guys laughed, as they realized the same thing. A large puff of smoke appeared in front of the classroom. A voice rang out, so which one of you brats is Naruto Uzumaki? The smoke cleared, showing a woman who looked 20 years of age. She had purple hair tied into a hairstyle similar to Shikamaru, with bangs held up by her headband. She wore a tan trench coat, a orange miniskirt that defined mini, and a fishnet shirt. The only other thing she wore was a sort of pendant. Naruto stood up and said, that would be me, so, where shall we go? Anko raised an eyebrow, as she knew her state of dress drew some heads, but Naruto didn't even look down, except for the fact he was standing in the upper rows. She thought, maybe he's not like the other guys in this village. Maybe. She quickly walked up the aisle, heading for the door saying, we're heading to the roof, come on. Naruto followed her out the door, but quickly turned to Squad 7 and said, I hope you brought a book to read, Hataki is always late by, oh what was it, oh yeah, 2 full hours, to everything. Bye. Naruto, still having a crazy grin on his face, closed the door behind him, leaving Squad 7 to wonder his meaning. Idiots. Academy rooftop. Anko and Naruto made their way to the roof, Naruto walking behind her, and he was able to truly get a good look at his sensei. He saw that she was truly a beautiful woman. What idiot in this village wouldn't like her? Anko opened the door to the roof, and sat down on a rail, near the edge. She spoke up saying, we might as well get the intro out of the way. I'll start, my name is Anko Madarashi, my likes are hanging out with my friends, eating dango and working as an interrogator. My dislikes are a certain snake, traders, and some people in this village. My hobbies are the same as my likes, and my dream is to kill a certain snake. Naruto spoke up next, seeing as I'm a shinobi now, it's safe to tell you my real name. My name is Naruto Namikaze, my likes are a few women in this village, and a certain fox. My dislikes are pricks and conceited assholes. My hobbies are training, and learning more about my family. My dream is to get revenge on the bastard that ruined my life, as well as others. That includes a certain snake fag. Anko was shocked at Naruto's name, and when she heard that he also hated the same snake she did, her heart leaped. She then realized what was a part of his likes, a few women in this village. She asked, who exactly are these women? Naruto gave her a fox-like grin and said, oh you'll find out soon enough. Anko composed herself and said, normally there would be a test, but seeing as we are a special case, we don't need to do one. Naruto said, good thing, as I'm guessing the test would involve me fighting you? Seeing her nod, then look confused, he took one of the blades off his back for her to see, and said, "These bad boys only have two settings, kill, and maim horribly. Wouldn't want to cut up that pretty face of yours." Anko was at a loss for words, partly because of his words, but mostly because of the blades in question. Naruto spoke to her with a kind of playfulness, yet showed respect. He then said, "Don't get the wrong idea, you're a jonin for a reason, so you could kick my ass, and I did meet one of the strongest beings, and find out that a fox in the leaf was a woman." Anko thought, he met the fox, and the fox was a girl, well strike one for us. She then said, "We'll start taking missions tomorrow, and I will not do any D-ranks, they suck." Naruto said, "I agree, that's shit civilians should do." Anko laughed, and said, "I'm beginning to like you kid, we're gonna get along just fine." Naruto left, saying as he walked away, "That's what I hope for, and I can see you hope for it as well. We are connected by despair, and because of that, we need to support each other." Anko was moved, he knew about her, but he still treated her the same. "Who are you Naruto Namikaze?" Council chambers, 2 hours later. It was 2 p.m., and Naruto was waiting outside the door to be let in. "This better be good, I swear if those damn civilians try something I'll kill them myself." The ANBU standing guard said, "You being called kid, give 'em hell." Naruto smirked and said, "Oh, I plan to." He walked in, the doors closing ominously behind him. The council seated in front of him. The council itself is divided into 3 parts. The first is the Elder Council, which was composed of the Hokage and his advisors. The second part was the Shinobi Council, which was made up of the clan heads of the village. The final and most irritating part of the council was the Civilian Council, made up of wealthy merchants and clan heads who didn't become shinobi. The pink spot of hair proving a point. Naruto stood in the middle of the room, and saw a bandaged old man sitting with the civilians. His right eye was covered, he wore black robes, fit for a councilman, an X-shaped scar on his chin. This was Danzo. He and Naruto locked eyes for a moment, and Naruto saw a little smile on his face, which was returned. Naruto had Death's Scythe on his back, his blades sealed into the scroll, but the chains remained on his wrists. He then said, "So what bullshit is the majority of Civilian Council bitching about now?" The Shinobi Council, the Hokage, and Danzo had to hold their laughter in, but it was broken when Sakuya Haruno, mother of the pink bitch, spoke up, "Watch your tone brat, we could have you killed for that." Naruto then said, "How many times have you tried that, yet I'm still here. Why civilians need to be involved in shinobi affairs I'll never know." Sarutobi spoke up saying, "I agree, but on to the matter at hand, Naruto, you were found after killing a traitor to this village, but when we inspected the area, there was no blood to be found, care to explain?" Naruto cleared his throat, as if to give a lecture, said, "The weapons you no doubt saw in that globe of yours is the reason. No matter how hard I train, they won't get any stronger. They need blood to do so. The only weapon that doesn't need it is this scythe right here. My weapons will only absorb the blood of those I kill, and as a shinobi, I will eventually take missions that will involve killing. It's a win-win." Sakuya shouted, "Hand over those weapons brat, they belong to Sasuke-sama, not you." Naruto held his hands to his ears, as did the Inuzuka matriarch. Tsume, a very feral-looking woman, shouted back, "Will you ever shut up?" Naruto, his hearing fine again, said, "As I told your not-so-lovely daughter, these weapons are a family heirloom, and taking these gives me the right to kill you." He seals the scythe away, and he takes out the blades of chaos. "Do you want to try your luck? It will only benefit me in the end." One fat council member shouted, "How dare you speak to us in such a way, as if you could kill us you demon." His words were cut off, as well as his head, as one of the blades were thrown right at his neck. It set aflame the entire time, allowing it to easily cut through the flesh. Naruto grinned and said, "Such a shame, he could have lived, had he not broken the law." The civilians were on the verge of pissing themselves. The shinobi were glad the Uchiha were gone, as Fugaku would have demanded Naruto to hand over the blades as well. Sarutobi was thinking, "He's strong enough, now I can't hide it anymore." He then said, "Naruto, it's time we got to the real reason this meeting was called. It pertains to your heritage. I didn't tell you because it was a request of your father. But seeing as you are capable to defend yourself, I can. Naruto could only give a dark grin, seeing as the civilians would be shitting themselves after this, the Hokage and Shinobi Council sharing his thoughts. Sarutobi continued, Naruto, your father is none other than our own fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze, the Yellow Flash. Your mother was Kushina Uzumaki, the Red Death. She originally wasn't from this village, but when her home village was destroyed, she came here, and I doubt I need to say what happened after she met your father. There was a large thump, and when Naruto looked to his left, he saw all the civilians except Danzo passed out, and everyone conscious had the same thought, what a bunch of losers. Sarutobi continued, Naruto, this means that now you are under the CRA, and thus are required to have 5 wives as a minimum. This must happen before you turn 18, is that understood? Naruto said, yes, I understand. Sarutobi then said, then this meeting is concluded. You are all dismissed. Naruto walked out into the hallway when he was stopped by Tsume. She said, I heard what Kiba did yesterday and today, and I would like to formally apologize for it. Naruto calmly said, there is no need for an apology, though I would recommend teaching Kiba some manners in regards to dealing with women, as his actions will get him killed one day. Or worse. Tsume, while not being a man herself, knew what men considered worse than death. She merely said, I will see to it. It seems you have more business to deal with. She then used Shunshin to disappear. Naruto turned behind him and saw Saya waiting for him. She said, Danzo-sama wishes to speak with you, Naruto-kun, I'm here to take you to him. Naruto nodded, and Saya placed a hand on his shoulder, using Shunshin. Root headquarters. Naruto entered the room, Danzo sitting calmly in a chair. When he noticed Naruto was in the room, he smiled and said, so good of you to come. I have to say you gave a good performance at the meeting. Naruto grinned, saying, but of course, I have to thank you for sending the ANBU to tell me of the meeting. I never would have been prepared if it happened suddenly. Danzo quickly became serious, saying, we were able to find your mother, she was locked in the secret area of the hospital, in a room the elders wanted no doctors or nurses to enter. She is in a coma, and thankfully my root ANBU were able to get her out safely. If we hadn't, she would still be stuck in that room, forever in a coma. She has been recovering, but she won't wake up for a couple more weeks. Naruto was thanking all deities for this. He said, that is great to hear. Those elder bastards have messed with my life, along with the civilians, for the last time. They both will suffer for this. Saya placed a comforting hand on Naruto's shoulder, and Danzo said, they will in time, as will Madara and Orochimaru. I will help you make sure of it. Naruto smirked, saying, I see, I am grateful that Kiba is not on Hinata-chan's team. I believe you had a hand in that? Danzo said, yes, I had Saya-chan here placed on the team so as to prevent the Inuzuka boy from raping her, as his file stated he would if he had the chance. Naruto's smirk grew wider, and he said, times are changing for the Leaf, and it will be good ones. Naruto and Danzo started laughing, Saya merely standing back, eyeing Naruto with a blush on her face. 1 month later. Naruto and Anko grew closer as sensei and student. They were usually seen either at a dango stand, or with Kurenai's squad. He began training in handling his weapons, both the Blades of Chaos, and the Blade of Artemis. A rather large sword, created in a S shape, but not as heavy as it looked. It had a dark blue color to it, and as he and Anko continued to go on C-rank missions, usually involving eliminating bandits, it now had a dark purple glow to it. The Blades of Chaos themselves now had red runes glowing on them, showing it was mastered. A couple weeks back Danzo told Naruto that his mother was waking up, and he could be happier. Flashback, 2 weeks ago. Naruto and Anko were ending another training session, as a root ANBU appeared before Naruto. Anko drew a kunai, but Naruto grabbed her arm, and he said, what business do you have here? The ANBU spoke quickly as he said, Naruto-sama, I have urgent news from Danzo-sama, it seems your mother is finally coming out of the coma. She should be awake soon. With your permission, we will take her to your clan estate, is that alright with you? Naruto nodded and said, yes, it is, but be discreet. I don't want those bastards on the council to know she's out of their hands. The ANBU nodded and left, leaving only a swirl of leaves behind. Anko said, what the hell was that? You're working with Danzo? Naruto turned to her and said, he helped me find my mother, and he also made it to where we would be sensei and student. I doubt that you are very trusting of him, due to his position, but I assure you, he is on our side. He has been leeching info from Orochimaru, acting as if he was working with him for a while now, and one piece of info he gained was a way to remove that disgusting mark from you. Anko reached her hand to her curse mark, not believing that it could be removed. Naruto moved closer to her and put his hand on hers. And he said, I told you, we both have the same enemy, I wish to help you. I have developed a way to remove the curse, but you need to trust me. Anko merely said, if there is any way to get rid of this, please do it. Not even Jiraiya the Sannin was able to remove it, but if you can, I'll be eternally grateful. I'll do whatever you ask. Naruto placed his hand under her chin, and said, no need to be so dramatic, I will rid that disgusting mark from you, and all you need to do is close your eyes. When she closed her eyes, she felt a tug at her mind, and saw both Naruto, and what looked a woman standing next to him. She wore a blood-red kimono, and had 9 fox tails behind her. Anko could only gasp and say, Kyubi. Kyubi smirked, and said, yes child, I am her. She walked closer to Anko and said, now I see why Naruto-kun has become so taken with you, strong, beautiful, and quite ruthless when you want to be. Both parties had the decency to blush, both for obvious reasons. Then Kyubi became serious, as she said, unfortunately we don't have time for pleasantries, as I can sense the source of the curse mark. Let's go. She walked down a hallway, Naruto and Anko following. They soon reached a room where an image of Orochimaru sat, it sitting on a throne. Anko almost charged at it, but Naruto held her back. He said, that's a piece of Orochimaru's soul, if we destroy it, the curse mark will go with it. Allow me to take care of this. He drew the blade of Artemis, and disappeared. He then reappeared behind the throne the fake Orochimaru was sitting in, the blade in a after-slash position. A diagonal cut went through the throne and the fake. The next thing Anko saw was the shocked look on the fake as the throne and the torso began to slide down, a pool of blood began to show, before the blood was drawn into the blade and absorbed into it. Anko felt the mark dissolve and the 3 exited out of her mind. When Naruto and Anko returned to consciousness, he saw her check where her mark was, and only saw unblemished skin. He then asked, how do you feel? Her response was her tackling him, and giving him a long hard kiss to the lips. She then said, thank you, that awful taint is gone. Now, what did Kyubi say about you? Something about you liking me? Naruto blushed, and said, I have for a while now, but, I really didn't want to say anything just yet. I mean, I didn't want to cause any problems. Anko leaned in and said, as if I would have a problem with it. She grabs the edge of her coat, and in a teasing manner, pulled her coat aside, allowing him to see her body, as the fishnet she wore hid nothing. She then said, like what you see? Naruto surprised her by saying, I certainly do, you are a true beauty. Naruto then got up, and took her by the hand, and said, come with me, I want to make sure my mother got in safely. Anko nodded, and followed him. Namake's compound. Naruto and Anko were led to the room where Kushina was by a rude ANBU that stayed behind. Once they reached the room, Naruto said, you are dismissed, tell Danzo, I thank him again. The ANBU bowed and said, yes, Naruto-sama, as he left by a shunshin. Naruto looked at his mother's face, and saw a red-haired woman, her being dressed in a hospital gown. Naruto saw her eyes open, and saw that they were a dark green. She looked at him and said, Minato-kun? Naruto shook his head and said, sorry, I'm not my old man. Kushina's eyes widened as she said, Naruto? Is that you? Naruto grinned and said, it's me alright, I certainly look like my old man, huh? Kushina chuckled and said, you certainly do, I bet the girls are all over you. Anko seemed out of place, so she started to step back, until Kushina asked, so Naru-chan, who's your friend, is she your girlfriend? Naruto and Anko started to blush, and Naruto said, she's my sensei, but, I hope she mind going past that in the future. Anko blushed deeper, and said, maybe, I certainly wouldn't mind. Kushina then asked, so, how has your life been? I doubt it went smoothly. Anko spoke up, and said, you can say that again, the kid has had problem after problem, and the civilian council has made sure that it stayed that way, arrogant bunch of bastards. Kushina was fuming. She said, why that old monkey never removed them I'll never know. Minato-koi was going to, until well, I guess you know by now. Naruto nodded and said, yeah, I know. In fact, I had a meeting with them a couple weeks back, and they put me under the CRA. Anko blushed, knowing what that meant. Kushina noticed the blades on Naruto's back and asked, I see you found my family's scroll. I never used it, but I'm glad you could. Naruto then said, do you need anything, Oka-san? Kushina shook her head, and said, I'm fine, just need to get moving, can't let myself get rusty. Anko spoke up, saying, you really shouldn't overdo it, as you came out of a coma. Naruto added, you were put there by the civilian council, who had some doctors keep you that way. Danzo had a few of his root ANBU take you out of there, and bring you here. Kushina sighed, and said, well I'm glad he's on our side, it makes things easier. She got back under the covers, and went back to sleep. Anko and Naruto walked out of the room to let her rest. Anko then gave Naruto a long and deep kiss. When they stopped for air, she asked, did you really mean what you said? That you have to be under the CRA? And that you want me as one of the girls? Naruto blushed, and said, yeah, I do. Anko merely gave him another long kiss. Flashback end. Naruto and Anko were heading for the Hokage's office to get their next mission. When the two entered, they saw Squad 8 there as well. Sarutobi then said, I'm glad you two are here. I was about to send Squad 8 on a mission to back up Squad 7. I sent them on a mission to escort a man named Tazuna to Wave, but it seems that the mission was higher ranked than expected. Originally it was a C rank, but now it's an A rank. I'm sending you as backup. Naruto gained a glint in his eye and said, A rank you say? This will be more fun than I thought. Anko gained a similar glint as she thought, at least we'll be able to get some alone time. Sarutobi said, I want you to leave ASAP, and Naruto, leave a bloodbath. Naruto saluted, and left to tell his mother about the mission. Kurenai pulled Anko to the side and asked, so how are you two getting along? Anko blushed and said, he's wonderful. He has a certain charm about him, but he has the strength to crush anyone. Kurenai was shocked, and she said, are you too? Anko nodded and said, his is an adult, and under the CRA. Besides, he managed to do something no one ever did before. Anko walked away to prepare for the mission. Kurenai just stood there, and was broken from her thoughts when Hinata came up behind her and asked, Sensei, we should prepare for the mission. Kurenai nodded and said, Naruto and Anko will meet us at the West Gate in an hour. Pack lightly, as we'll be heading straight for Wave Country. Dismissed. West Gate 1 hour later. Naruto and Anko saw Kurenai, Shino, Saya, and Hinata waiting for them. Naruto carried Death's Scythe on his back, his family scroll tied securely. Kurenai then said, alright, we're heading out. Now remember this is an A rank, so let's try to be careful on this one. Alright, let's move out. Tazuna's home. Kakashi was reading his book, despite the host's daughter's request. Sasuke was brooding in a corner, Sakura pestering him for a date every 5 seconds. Kiba was talking to Akamaru, aka, trying to figure out how to get in Hinata's pants. Tsunami, Tazuna's daughter, was cooking dinner when the group heard a knock on the door. Tazuna was downing a bottle of sake. Tsunami opened the door and saw Naruto and the others in the doorway. Naruto, in a professional tone of voice, said, "Why hello, we're the backup that Kakashi-san requested." Tsunami moved out of the way and said, "Oh, please do come in, we were waiting for you to show up." Anko looked at Kakashi and said, "What kind of crap did you guys get involved in?" Kakashi said, "It's Gato of the shipping company, he's hired Nuke to take out Tazuna. One of them is Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the hidden mist." Naruto raised an eyebrow, and asked, "And he got away from you? What happened, did you hold back, because of your babysitting duty?" Sakura said, "He was looking out for our client, you idiot." Naruto glared at her and said, "I wasn't talking about babysitting the client, you moron." Kurenai decided to play peacemaker, and said, "Alright, let's just relax here, as we need to work together." Naruto nodded, and said, "I'll go do some training, Anko-sensei, I'll be back later." Naruto walked out the door, his blades on his back. Kiba walked over to Hinata and said, "Why don't we find somewhere else to go?" Hinata stuck her nose and said, "Forget it, you perv." Saya walked up behind Kiba and said, "I would stop if I were you. It's obvious she doesn't like you." Kiba growled and said, "She will be my woman, no matter what." Anko put a kunai to his neck and said, "If you try anything, if I don't kill you, Naruto-kun certainly will, as you know those two are close." Kiba gave a cocky smirk and said, "Yeah right, that dead last can't do anything to me." Anko shook her head and said, "He isn't as you knew him. He will have no problem removing your head from your shoulders." Kiba grew wide-eyed, while Akamaru shook his head and thought, "That's what he gets, why must he act so retarded?" Forest clearing. Naruto took out the blade of Artemis, and took a few test swings, to make sure he held it. He started to chop down trees, using only one swing. He eventually grew tired, after the 15th tree. He stuck the blade into the ground next to him, and slept next to a tree. Morning crept up slowly, and a young woman wearing a pink kimono that had brown swirls decorating it. She wore simple sandals, her brown hair flowing down to her butt. She came upon Naruto sleeping, and saw the blade in the ground, and saw it was as large as the one her master used. She then saw the leaf headband Naruto wore, and thought, he must be part of some sort of reinforcements. I can't let him interfere. She reached a hand to try and snap his neck, but her gentle nature took over, and she shook him awake instead. When Naruto opened his eyes, he saw what he thought was an angel. Naruto asked, "So what is a pretty girl like yourself doing here?" The girl blushed and said, "My name is Haku, and I'm gathering herbs to use as medicine." Naruto smirked and said, "For Zabuza, I believe?" Haku froze, and Naruto said, "I can assure you, Gato is not an ally, he'll kill you and him when the job is done, he's known for it. My advice, get away from him, and help us take him down." Haku looked nervous as she asked, "How can you be sure we'll be safe?" Naruto stood up as he said, "My name is Naruto Namikaze. I can grant you and Zabuza asylum in my village, as I have pull with the Hokage. I can sense you have a bloodline, which is why you left Mist, correct?" Haku had a scared look on her face as she said, "Yes, that won't be a problem, will it?" Naruto shook his head as he said, "Konoha has a completely opposite way of looking at bloodlines, they are treasured, not hated. I want you to tell Zabuza that on the day you fight Kakashi and his squad again, I will offer him and you a chance to join us. You won't be sorry about it." Haku nodded, and made note of the sword in the ground. As she walked away from the clearing, Sasuke walked in, and saw the sword. He then said, "Give me that sword, dead last, you couldn't use that if you tried." Naruto grabbed the handle with one hand, and hefted it onto his shoulder. He then said, "Yeah right you filth, it's you who could never lift it. Now get out of my way, or I will cleave you in half." Sasuke moved aside, scared shitless of both blade and user. Naruto walked into the house, blade still on his shoulder. Kakashi had his eye widen at the size of it, and said, "I do not want to get cut by that thing." Naruto smirked and said, "Good call, I sliced a few trees in half with this." Sakura added her bullshit, said, "Yeah right Naruto, there's no way you could do that, so stop lying." Anko looked up from the couch and said, "Oh he can, he's done that to train with that blade. Helps his swing. Kakashi said, well, time to eat, I'll have my team train. Kurenai is doing the same. Naruto and Anko, go do whatever it is you do. Naruto and Anko walked back into the forest, and Anko asked, so, did you run into any trouble out here? Naruto replied, I ran into Zabuza's accomplice, and laid the groundwork for a possible deal to be made. If it goes smoothly, the only death will be that of Gato and his men. Anko walked closer, a sway to her hips, as she said, well, you certainly have this all planned out. Naruto smirked and said, I may have acted that way in the academy, but not here. I'm not a fool, and I'm not afraid to show it. Anko grinned widely, as she straddled his hips, and started to kiss him deeply. When they parted for air, Naruto said, well, that is certainly some serious motivation. Anko grinned and said, just think of when we can actually be alone. Naruto kissed her neck and said, I can't wait. Timeskip, morning of bridge fight. Naruto awoke to a scream from the kitchen. Quickly dressing and his blades of chaos attaching to his chains, he rushed downstairs to see Inari protecting his mother from two thugs. Their path was interrupted, as Naruto launched the blades at their necks, cutting off their heads. Inari saw him pull the chains back, and asked, how? Naruto merely looked at him and said, to back down to a man like Gato is foolish, take away his money, and he is nothing. I'm going to the bridge to check on my comrades, I'll leave some clones here just in case. Naruto made some shadow clones, and sped off down the trail to the bridge. Bridge. Kakashi, Sasuke, Kiba, Sakura, Kurenai, Shino, Hinata, Saya, Anko, and Tazuna saw the workers passed out on the bridge. They saw Zabuza and Haku waiting by a crane. Anko stepped forward and asked, so, what's your answer? Naruto will be here soon, and you know Gato might show up. Zabuza replied, I did a little look into Gato's employee records, and saw the kid was telling the truth. Old man Tazuna, you can no longer consider us enemies. Kakashi eased up, seeing as their only threat was no longer so. Sasuke said, we can't trust them, we should get rid of them. Drawing a kunai, he charged at the mist mean, and would have gone farther, had something not blocked his path. Haku's heart leaped, as she saw that it was Naruto, his blades of chaos drawn, and pointed at Sasuke's face. Had Sasuke moved even an inch closer, he would be dead. Zabuza's eyes widened at the sight of the blades, and he asked, are those what I think they are? Blades that all of Kiri revere? The very blades of the god of war himself. Naruto turned to him and said, yes they are, it makes sense, as Kiri followed a similar training program to that of Sparta. Zabuza did the one thing not even Haku had seen him do, he bowed, and said, if you wield the blades, then you are a descendant of a god. Naruto-sama, it would be my honor as a swordsman to work for you. Naruto said, raise warrior, and show some dignity. It seems the fat rat has appeared at last. On the other side of the bridge, a short man wearing a business suit, holding a cane, and wearing sunglasses. He was followed by 100 thugs. In a nasty voice he said, well, so you decided to betray me as Zabuza? It doesn't matter, as I was never gonna let you leave here alive anyway. Kill them all, but bring me the women, I'm certain I can get a good price on them, after I entertain myself of course. The entire bridge a deep pressure, along with a large, killer intent. Naruto drew out the blade of Artemis, the purple glowing blade pulsating. Zabuza grabbed Kubikiri Hocho off of his back, a crazed look on his face. He shouted, I'll never let scum like you touch my daughter, do you hear me? Every last fucking one of you is dead meat. Naruto's eyes turned blood red, Kyuubi in his mind thinking, her mind flooded with ecstasy because of the Ki, oh yes, spill their disgusting blood, give a bloodbath Kratos himself would be proud of, do it, claim the power for your own, then, come and see me, and I'll give you something else to claim. She went into a deep part of the cage to relieve some stress, as Naruto had her Yuki cover him in a fox-like shape. He hefted the blade of Artemis on his shoulder, and said, you dare think to lay a hand on the ones I care for? I will see that this place becomes your grave, little man. Turning to Zabuza, he said, I'll take the ones to the left of Gato, you get the right. Now, let's kill some fuckers, shall we? Zabuza grinned so wide it was shown through his mask and he said, oh hell yeah. Both Naruto and Zabuza charged into the group of mercs, their swords cutting through like butter. With every swing, another thug was cut in half, diagonal, or straight down the middle, as Gato ran to the back of the group. When he saw his last man fall, he saw not two men, but demon incarnate. Naruto swung down the blade of Artemis, its blade now red. Gato tried to plead, saying, please, let me go, I swear I'll leave and never come back. I'll stop, just please, let me go. Naruto began to chuckle, then full-blown laugh, and said, how many times have your victims said those words? How many have pleaded for their lives in front of you, yet they got nothing but death, and as you have not listened to their words, I will not listen to yours. He raised the blade, and swung it down through Gato's head, cleaving him straight in half. Sasuke and Sakura saw this slaughter and were horrified. Shino, Kiba, and Hinata, raised in clans, knew what to expect, but still felt green. Saya thought, Naruto-sama is getting stronger, it's good to see his progress. Kakashi and Kurenai were amazed at how strong Naruto was, while Anko had a calm face on the outside, but had similar thoughts to Kyuubi in her head. Haku heard what both Naruto and Zabuza said, and knew that Naruto counted her. Naruto began to feel lightheaded, and he turned to Tazuna and said, you can celebrate, this land is free of vermin. As he said those words, he slipped into unconsciousness. Naruto woke up in what he thought was his mindscape, but it was very different. What once was a sewer now looked like it was ripped from Mount Olympus. Think the area you go into at the end of God of War 1, the God of War's throne room. Naruto walked down the walkway, and saw a lavish temple-like structure, built in the way Kratos himself may have lived. He walked through the front door, and instantly heard moaning. After following the sound to what looked like a bedroom, he parted the curtains to see something that made him blush deep red. And they did naughty thing. Naruto undid the binds on Kyuubi's wrists, and saw her put her hands on her stomach. She said, if we were outside this damn seal, I could very well have become a mother just now. Her face turned deep red at the thought, as Naruto cupped her face with his hand, and said, I will find a way to get you out, I promise. You were always with me, helping me when no one else would. Whatever mistake you made, I'd say you paid for it enough. Kyuubi couldn't help but blush, and she waved her arms around the room, saying, I made a little change in here, as you can tell. I remember how the building and chambers on Mount Olympus looked, and thought, what better mindscape for the new god of war, than that of his personal chambers? Oh, the stories I can tell you. Your ancestor, Kratos, was quite the ladies' man. Never a night went by when he didn't consume wine or took a woman to his bed. I hear he even got into the bed of the goddess of love and sex herself, Aphrodite. But that was years ago, and now, the mantle is empty, and soon you will take his place. Anyone who ever played the God of War games knows what I mean. Hell, a trophy is called ladies' man. Naruto wrapped his arms around her, and said, and I will take it with pride, as I will destroy anyone who dares try to harm the ones I love. He tightened his hold, and Kyuubi knew what he meant. They soon fell asleep, peaceful, in their lover's embrace. Naruto's room, Tazuna's house. Naruto woke up well rested, despite activities that normally would say otherwise. He felt a weight on his arms and chest, and saw Haku and Hinata sleeping on his arms, while Anko was laying on his chest. Saya was sitting near the wall, and she smiled when she saw he was awake. Kyuubi saw the same, as she said, my love, who knew you were so popular with the ladies, you really are just like him. I wonder what wild times we could have in the future, hee hee. Naruto chuckled, waking the girls up, Anko immediately hugging him, saying, don't scare me like that. You had us worried. Naruto patted her shoulder, and said, I'm fine, just overexerted myself, that's all. Anko playfully slapped his shoulder, and Naruto noticed his coat, shin guards, and scroll were safely in the corner of the room farthest away from the door. Naruto had a tick over his head, as he asked, just what happened while I was knocked out? Haku had a pissed-off look on her normally gentle face, as she said, the Uchiha tried to break in here to steal your scroll, and that harpy tried to help. Zabuza Otosan stood guard at the door after that, and Anko-san here placed a sound blockage seal, as well as a privacy seal. That way, we can't hear them, and they can't hear us. Naruto had his eyes blaring red, and he said, I warned those fuckers one time too many. Do they really think that they are above punishment? Anko growled, and said, and what's worse, they came in the middle of the night, and when they saw us like this, that little bitch had the gall to call me a whore, and tried to kill Haku-chan here. Hinata shivered, and said, and Kiba tried to drag me out of here, something about, some bitches need to be re-educated. Naruto had his chakra flaring, enough to break the seals on the room, and he said, that is it. I have had it with those arrogant pieces of shit. Those fuckers are so dead, you hear me? Dead. Hyubi was shivering, and was about to pull Naruto back into his mind again, but business comes first. Zabuza opened the door, and said, so I take it that you girls told him right? Good, because that bastard challenged Naruto for the claim over his weapons, and since this is a clan matter, we can't interfere. Naruto held his hand out to his scroll, and 2 new blades emerged. They had the appearance of gold but looked worn and battle-scarred. Naruto had them attached to the chains on his wrists, and felt memories rush into him as he saw Kratos spin, a tornado of water surrounding him. The name of the attack flowed into his head, Divine Reckoning. Yes, these are the blades of Athena from Gao 3, I like this version better. Naruto's grin grew wider, and the group went out to a nearby field, where the fools were waiting. Kurenai was pinching her nose, Kakashi was embarrassed by his team, Shino and Saya were ready to neuter Kiba, while said fools were grinning up a storm, thinking they were gonna win. Naruto and the others arrived. Kakashi saw the pissed-off look on Naruto's face, and thought, they royally fucked up now. At least I won't deal with them anymore. Kurenai saw Naruto's eyes, and saw they were not bright red, or deep blue as she saw before. Now they were dark yellow. And though she passed it off as a trick of the eyes, she could have sworn he had red tribal tattoos. Naruto passed his scroll to Anko, and said, this will not take long, I will crush these fools into the dirt. Anko gave him a kiss on the cheek, and said, show them what Spartans do to thieves. Naruto drew his new blades, and he saw Sasuke smirk. The arrogant fool said, what a loser, soon, I will take your weapons, and maybe even those girls of yours too. Naruto growled, but was attacked from behind by Kiba, Sakura and Sasuke attacking from the front. Anko tried to jump in, but Zabuza held her back, saying, this is a clan matter, we can't interfere. Besides, Naruto-sama isn't gonna fall to some lowly genin. Naruto saw the 3-pronged attack, and started to spin, saying, Divine Reckoning. To everyone's shock, a large tornado of water surrounded Naruto, and threw the trio away, Hinata being reminded of her clan's rotation technique. Naruto stopped spinning, and seeing Sasuke move, stabbed one of his blades into the ground near Sasuke's nose. Naruto said, his tone speaking of no mercy, should what he say be disobeyed, listen well, you filthy copycat. These weapons are mine. And no one, not even the council, is going to change that. If you ever dare to steal from me again, I will use an ancient punishment from my ancestors' time on how they dealt with thieves. He grabbed Sasuke's arm, and held his blade at the wrist. After all, a thief cannot steal without hands. Zabuza was grinning like crazy, and Anko was hoping Naruto would do it. Kiba and Sakura nearly, wait, they did shit themselves. Naruto asked, this is your last warning, do I make myself clear? Sasuke quickly nodded his head, and Naruto dropped the arm as if it were diseased. He and the others walked away, leaving the idiots to think on how they nearly died because of their foolishness. Time skip the bridge a few days later. Squad 7 and 8 were packed up and ready to leave. Naruto and Anko had sealing scrolls full of their things. Seeing as they no longer had a client to worry about, they would make it by nightfall, minus the possibility that Sakura didn't get tired too much. The women of Wave were cheering, all of it directed at Naruto. Inari even looked on the verge of tears, until Naruto said, "Be strong, child, you'll have to be in order to keep this land safe. To ensure no one like Gato ever gets their claws into this place again." Inari replied, "I'm not sad, I'm happy. Now I'll be how my father wanted, and protect the ones I care about." Naruto opened a sealing scroll, and pulled out a wooden version of the traditional Spartan blade, and handed it to Inari. He then said, "Excellent response, I look forward to seeing you make that a reality." Inari was beaming, as Anko, Haku, and even Hinata were thinking, "He's good with kids, that's a plus." Kurenai was thinking, "He showed such calm brutality, but he did it to protect us." Maybe Anko was right about him. He truly is stronger than what we thought. Kakashi had his nose in his book, but his mind was thinking, knowing how stupid and stubborn Sasuke is, he'll go to the council to try and get Naruto's weapons off of him anyway. And of course those pussies on the civilian council will bend over backwards for his punk ass. Glad the Shinobi Council is on Naruto's side. Zabuza was grinning like mad, seeing as he was under the protection of a descendant of the god of war, and that his adoptive daughter caught Naruto's eye. Naruto smirked as his team turned to leave. When they were out of earshot, Tsunami spoke up, saying, "What will we name the bridge?" Tazuna tried a stupid idea, but someone quickly shut his mouth beforehand. Inari spoke up, saying, "How about the Great Naruto Bridge?" The townspeople cheered, as it fit that the bridge would be named after their hero. Timeskip, Konoha Gates. Kurenai saw Naruto speaking to Hinata and Saya, and was glad that Naruto could get a response out of the dark-haired girl. It was even more than a response if the blush on her face is anything to go by. Anko was talking to Haku and Zabuza, and Kakashi had his nose in that book of his. Sasuke was brooding, and Sakura tried to get dates out of him. Kiba was either glaring at Naruto, or staring at Hinata's ass. Akamaru continued to whack him with his tail every time he did either. As the group approached the gates, Kakashi spoke to the guards, saying, "Squad 7 and Squad 8 returning from our mission in Wave, along with 2 ninjas seeking asylum in our village." The guards saw Naruto, and bowed in respect. This action shocked everyone except Anko and Naruto, as he thought, "Mother must be active in the village." "That's good to see." He heard one of the guards say, "It is good to see you back, Naruto-sama, your mother has been eagerly awaiting news of your mission." Naruto nodded, and said, "I thank you for telling me what has happened in the village since I was gone." The other guard replied, "Your mother has made a public appearance, and revealed who you are. There are still those who do not believe, but they are dealt with." Naruto nodded, and said, "Well, I expected for her to wait till I returned, it's good enough for me. Glad to see she has recovered so quickly." Naruto, Zabuza, Haku, and Anko walked ahead when they heard a guard say, "One last thing, you are to attend a council meeting on the matter when you returned. I wish you luck, Naruto-sama." Naruto felt a hand on his shoulder, and as he said, "Thanks for the warning," he left, via Anko's shunshin, Zabuza and Haku following. Council chambers. The group appeared near the door, the 2 ANBU from before standing guard. Naruto heard one of them say, "Geez, they can't give you a break, huh kid? Thought they learned their lesson by now." Naruto grinned, and said, "Guess I really need to put fear into those weak civilians, huh?" The ANBU chuckled, and said, "You're damn right on that one, give 'em hell, kid." Naruto merely had a devilish grin as the doors opened. Naruto walked forward, the blades of Athena on his back, as he asked, "So what is it this time? The bitcha little council need to see me again so soon?" The Shinobi Council started to smirk, and Naruto saw his mother walk in with Sarutobi. Sarutobi spoke, saying, "Naruto, it seems this council is once again trying to take your scroll away from you. It seems Sasuke sent a messenger bird ahead in order to tell the civilian council." Naruto gripped the handle on his blades, as he said, "So the little bitch did not understand my warning. He loses to me, then tries to bitch his way out of it. What a pissant." A fat civilian councilman shouted, "Be silent, you filth, I do not believe for a second that you are the Yondame's son." Especially since it was that whirlpool whore who tried to prove it to us. I will not stand for another second of this farce. As before, his head was cut off at the neck, Naruto's face, the pure definition of anger. He said, I dare anyone to say something like that again, I absolutely dare you. Kushina spoke up, saying, as head of the Uzumaki clan in Konoha, I motion that the civilian council be dissolved, and that Danzo be made head of a division of ANBU. Danzo smiled, as even he couldn't stand dealing with the civilians. Sarutobi asked, all in favor. There were multiple AYES, all opposed, a majority of the civilians said NAY, but was outvoted. And so it is passed. Danzo, you may have your ANBU division, and the civilians will no longer have say in council meetings. Instead, they will be restricted to the business as merchants, and never again will they meddle in shinobi or clan affairs. Naruto sighed, and said, about time, and you may want to take a look at their accounts, as I believe that they may have took more than they show. Sakuya screeched, who the hell are you? Just because this slut spread her legs doesn't mean you get to. Her words stuck in her throat, as she felt cold steel on her neck. She heard Naruto say, you dumb bitch, you fuckers never learn, do you? Now I suggest you get the fuck out of this room, before I make that bitch daughter of yours go home without a mother to look forward to. Every former civilian council member ran out of the room, leaving Danzo and the shinobi council. Sarutobi and the others saw brown spots on civilians' pants, and started to laugh. Psum put an arm around Naruto's neck and said, nice one, you scared those bastards shitless, you're alright by me. Sarutobi said, and now Naruto, as I doubt you know, the Chunin exams are coming up. Anko, do you think he's ready? Anko grinned, and nearly shivered at the memory of the bridge, as she said, ready? Damn straight, I'm more worried about who he's against. Sarutobi nodded, and Kushina caught the shiver. She then asked, but seeing as he must be on a 3-man team, whose is he going to be on? Danzo raised a hand, and said, I had Sayak placed on Squad 8 to ensure Hinata-san did not deal with Kiba, no offense Tsum. Said woman merely shrugged it off. I suggest that Naruto act as a replacement for Saya for the exam. Either that or he joins as a 4th member. Sarutobi looked to Naruto and asked, so, what is your decision? Naruto thought for a moment, and said, I'll go as a 4th member. Saya already has a good camaraderie with Shino and Hinata, so it would be wrong to usurp that. Besides, she's actually nice to have around. She may be quiet most of the time, but the quiet ones are the best thinkers, and the ones to watch out for most. Danzo chuckled, and said, she'll be delighted to know this. Naruto said, now, if there is no other business left to attend to, I wish to show my new guests where they shall be staying. Sarutobi nodded, and said, that is all, you are dismissed. Naruto and the others walked out of the room as Tsum thought, that kid will cause a hell of a massacre. And all with a smile on his face. Naruto was leading his guests to his home, when they heard a loud screeching noise. Naruto, without even looking, asked, the hell do you want, Sakura? Was one ass kicking not enough? Sakura grew livid, as she said, you got my mother off of the council, you idiot. My mom was right about you. You're nothing but a no-good bastard with a slut for a mother. Naruto's dark yellow eyes stared her in the face, his blade inches from her neck. His voice was as cold as ice, as he said, if I'm no good, then what does that make you, filth? You call my mother a slut, when yours is the very definition of the word. I have heard some very interesting stories about your mother, how she tried to have mine killed, merely because she was married to my father. Or how when they were younger, your nasty mother tried every attempt to get into my dear father's pants, only to be stopped by my own. The people of your clan are weak, desperate stalkers who will stop at nothing to get their claws into who they are after. But then again, like mother, like daughter. Sakura was shaking in fear, the civilians backing away from the scene, while the shinobi were glad they got to see this. Naruto continued, the Chunin exams is coming up soon, and should I face your precious Uchiha, the only way he will leave it is if he is in pieces. Now get out of my sight, you detestable, pathetic excuse of a kunoichi. It's weaklings like you that make women who actually have strength still look bad in our profession. The shinobi and kunoichi watching were cheering, saying things like, "You tell her Namike-sama," or, "Amen to that, put that bitch in her place." Even Haku and Anko were cheering, and Sakura was mortified. She fell to her knees, as Naruto walked away, everyone around him grinning, and some of the kunoichi asked if he was available, to which Anko and Haku grabbed his arms, and said, "Sorry ladies, get in line." Zabuza and a few other shinobi muttered under their breath, "Lucky bastard." Naruto led the girls into his home, Haku surprised at the home itself. Anko chuckled, and said, "Like it? Good, because you are gonna be staying here, as will I. So Naruto-kun, got any plans for the exams?" Naruto grinned, and said, "Yep, if I remember correctly, killing is allowed in the second exam, even from one leaf shinobi to another, right?" Anko nodded, then shivered as she realized what he was up to. Haku asked, "What is so important about that?" Anko explained, "Usually, you can't kill a fellow shinobi unless they do something that counts as treason. They haven't actually stolen clan items, and the civilian council always got in our way, so we couldn't do anything about that. But now that there is no civilian council, and the exam allows killing of any participant, guess what?" Haku thought for a moment, until it hit her. She said, "Naruto-kun could kill those three without any repercussions." Anko grinned, and said, "Exactly, and that is where good things will start to happen." Haku soon had a deviant grin on her face, and said, "Well, I do like the sound of that." Kushina then walked through the front door, and said, "My Sochi, I still get surprised whenever you do stuff like that." Naruto hugged his mother, and she said, "So, have you met Q-chan yet?" Naruto gulped, and said, "Well, yeah, I have, a few times already." Kushina looked him in the eye and asked, much to everyone's surprise, "You two haven't done anything perverted, have you?" Naruto was sweating, and said, "Well, you see, Kushina sighed, and said, "You did, great." Naruto started to creep to the nearest exit, but Kushina grabbed him by the collar, and said, "Hold it, I just want to make this clear. You hurt her feelings, and I will drive you into the ground until you repent, understand?" Naruto raised an eyebrow, and asked, "Oka-san, how do you know Q-chan exactly?" Kushina sighed, and said, "Easy, before you, I was once Q-chan's vessel." Seeing everyone being wide-eyed, she said, "As you know, I came to the village after mine was destroyed, but the reason it was destroyed is that my family had a special chakra. It may have been what we had from Kratos, our ancestor. We call the power the chains of the underworld. Because, as the name suggests, our chakra can be turned into chains, and can even control the bijou using this power." Naruto looked amazed, and said, "Wow, that is awesome." Kushina chuckled, and said, "It is, me and Q-chan were like sisters, that's why I want you to treat her right, okay?" Naruto nodded, and said, "Mom, I'm not sure if I did proper introductions. Mom, meet Haku-chan, Haku-chan, Mom." Haku shook Kushina's hand, and said, "It's certainly nice to meet you." Kushina smiled, and said, You are certainly a polite one, aren't you?" Haku blushed, and said, "Well, yes." Zabuza lumbered in, and said, "Man, those civilians are assholes, a few of them tried to pay me to kill Naruto-sama, glad I killed them for it." Kushina sighed, and said, "Now I'm glad you're the polite one." Naruto chuckled, as Zabuza said, "I'm guessing you're Naruto-sama's Oka-san?" Kushina nodded, and asked, "I am, why?" Zabuza had a pissed-off look on his face, as he said, "Those villagers are pissing me off. In fact, a few tried to pay me to kill him." Kushina started to crack her knuckles, and she said, "Is that so? What a bunch of dumb fucks." Naruto sighed, and said, "I'm taking a nap, okay?" Haku kissed him on the cheek, and said, "Hope you sleep well." Naruto blushed, and after he went into his room, he plopped down onto the bed. Naruto's mindscape, he woke up in his mind, and saw Kyubi curled up next to him. She was talking in her sleep, saying, "Oh yes, that feels so good." Naruto blushed, and he heard her say, "My back has been killing me, your massage makes it all better." He then sweat dropped, and thought, man, she had me going there. He lightly shook her on the shoulder, and her eyes opened. Naruto said, miss me? Kyubi blushed, and said, yes, I did. The lovers stayed that way, and Kyubi asked, so, you plan on killing those fuckers when the exam comes along? Naruto nodded, and Kyubi shivered, as she saw that he now had red tribal tattoos, and he said, they got away with too much, and now, they will have nothing to hide behind. Kyubi shivered again, and said, God, you don't know how much I wanted to hear that. Naruto, remembering the last time, said, I know, this time, they can't, or won't escape. Kyubi gave him a long and passionate kiss, and when they parted for air, she said, I know love, now that the only ones that could stop us are gone, well, why not cause a little massacre? Naruto rubbed her whisker marks, making the fox girl moan, and lead her to straddle his waist. She then said, I hope you kill them soon, they get on my nerves. Naruto kissed her, and said, it will happen, soon enough. Just as I will see to it that you are free from this place. Kyubi laid back down, her head curled into his neck, and she said, in due time love, in due time. Naruto's room. He woke up to the sound of someone knocking on the door, and saw Haku peek her head in the door. He heard her say, Naruto-kun, you seem to have a guest, shall I tell them you're busy? Naruto shook his head, and said, no, I'll be right down, okay? Haku nodded, and left. Naruto went to the bathroom, and when he went to take a piss, he noticed that his junk had grown an extra inch or two. He then thought, Hyu-chan, did you have something to do with that? Said Fox Girl responded, saying, not me, though I was going to, but I guess puberty has hit you early. I was modifying your body, so that you can handle some of Kratos's more dangerous moves, and haven't gotten to that yet. Naruto sighed, and said, well, a little warning would have been nice. Kyubi looked away, and said, sorry, I should have mentioned it. Naruto reassured her, saying, it's alright, just, warn me when you do that sort of thing, okay? Kyubi nodded, then her mind blanked out, as perverted thoughts started to flood her mind. Naruto shook his head, and thought, she may be odd, but I love her all the same. After finishing his business, he went downstairs and saw Saya, a large blush on her face. He asked, not that I don't mind, but why are you here? Saya's blush grew, and she said, Danzo-sama told me how you spoke so highly of me, and, I just wanted to tell you something. Naruto sat down next to her, and she said, I've liked you for a very long time now. At first, I didn't know how to explain it, but, now I feel, that maybe my feelings have grown. Naruto merely looked at the dark-haired girl, and said, Saya-chan, I honestly don't know what to say. Saya looked him in the eyes, and said, then don't talk. And she surprised him, by kissing him deep on the lips, surprising him enough that they fell back, Saya landing on top of him. Naruto, his surprise gone, started to kiss the girl back, it going from kissing to full-blown makeout session. He even went as far as having his hands on her ass, which she allowed. When the duo parted for air, he said, wow, just, wow. Saya blushed, and said, I know we'll be on the same team for the exam, and that Hinata-san likes you. I just wanted you to know, that I'll be by your side, no matter what. Naruto said, thank you, Saya-chan, it's nice to hear that. The dark-haired girl had a blush that put Hinata to shame, and said, Naruto-kun, you still have your hand on my ass. Naruto smirked, and said, so I do, why, don't like it? Saya shook her head, and said, no, actually, I do. She then kissed him again, this time Anko and Haku were seeing the whole thing. Haku then said, should we trust them alone? Anko nodded, and said, let's leave them be, besides, they will be dealing with the Chunin exams soon, which is in a week. Haku nodded, and the duo left the two alone. The day of the exams, the academy. Naruto, Saya, Shino, and Hinata walked toward the academy, and they saw a very unpleasant sight. Kiba, Sakura, and Sasuke. Naruto visibly scowled, his red tattoos glowing slightly. Kiba, in an act of ignorance, said, you better watch your sorry ass Naruto, because now no one can save you in this exam. Naruto scowled deeper, and said, of all the deaths that you'll need to worry about, mine is not one of them. Kiba replied, yeah right, you can't kill me. Naruto picked him up by the collar, making sure not to harm Akamaru. He pulled Kiba to his face, and said, you what? The civilian council is gone, the second exam is where killing is allowed, and if I see you in that forest, it will become your grave. Naruto then dropped Kiba on his ass, and when Sakura tried to grab him, he backhanded her across the face, saying, you fuckers aren't worth my time, the next time I see you, I will kill all three of you. Naruto walked into the academy, Saya and Hinata gleaming with pride, while Shino thought, and for once, I not only agree with Naruto-san, but I'd actually enjoy seeing it happen. The four of them walked to where the room was, and saw both Kurenai and Anko there, and Kurenai said, now I doubt I need to explain what's going on. Naruto, I expect you to behave. Naruto shook his head and said, I'm no perv, but if I run into the Uchiha, his harpy, and that mutt, well, better warned Sum-san. Anko chuckled, and said, I'll do that, but still, I want you guys to watch your backs, as it can get messy. Naruto smirked, and said, oh no worries, I have something that can make this a walk in the park. Anko nodded, and she and Kurenai moved away from the doors, and allowed those three to enter. When they entered, they saw the room full of genin glaring at them, or in the Leaf's case, glaring at Naruto. The IWA genin were doing the same, as Naruto was like a mini-clone of the fourth, with the obvious differences. Naruto noticed the Sound genin staring at him, the female of the group blushing, as was the female of the Lone Sound team. The one with the gourd walked over, and asked, am I to assume you are with a team? Naruto nodded, and asked, I did not expect to see Suna Shinobi here, have you three enjoyed your time here? Gaara nodded, and said, we have, but we ran into a few of your shinobi, and they were quite rude. Naruto shook his head, and said, my apologies, they may have been genin who did not know of the exams. Gaara nodded, and said, true, forgive my manners, but, what is your name? Mine is Sabaku no Gaara. Naruto nodded, and said, and I am Naruto Namikaze. The IWA genin were starting to freak out, while the mist genin saw the blades on Naruto's back, and quickly decided to stay away. Gaara saw Squad 7 enter the room, and said, they were the ones we ran into, they seemed so pathetic. Naruto merely added it to the list, reasons to kill the fuckers in the most horrible way possible. Timeskip past the intro and crap, and cut right to the second exam. Ibiki backed away from the window, and a large black bundle broke through the window, and it unfurled, showing Anko as she said, all right you brats, the easy part is over, now the real fun begins. Sakura groaned, and said, oh great, it's Psycho Slut. Naruto gave her a death glare, as did most of the Chunin. The other rookies thought, does that bitch have a death wish? Anko gained everyone's attention, saying, now that the peanut gallery shut up, let's get to the next exam. Follow me to training ground 44. She then left the room, each of the genin following her lead. Training ground 44. Anko stood in front of the genin near one of the gates. Any hope of her being playful or nice was thrown out the window. She then said, alright, here's the deal, waiver forms are being passed around, they clearly state that if you die in this part of the exam, it's not our fault. Like it or not, that's how it is. Also, when your team submits their forms, you will get either a heaven or earth scroll, just like these. She then held up a white and brown scroll. There is a tower in the center of forest behind me, you can only enter it if you have both. Some of the genin were getting scared. She then said, now for what causes you to fail, you either have neither scroll at the end of a 5-day period, make it to the tower by that period, or one of your teammates die. Also, you automatically fail if you open your scroll before getting to the tower. The genin started to really shiver, minus Naruto and his team, the Sand Ninja, and the Sound Ninja. Choji, the only one who could ask, said, what about food? Anko stared, and said, there is plenty of animals and plants, this is survival, damn it, so act like it. Or if that's not your thing, there are always a wide assortment of human to munch on. Now, the genin were scared, and Naruto smelled a strong scent of snake behind him, and knew there was only one person who had it, seeing as Anko's curse mark was no more. He growled, and thought, so even he's here, must be after Sasuke, can't let that happen. After they received their scroll, an earth scroll, Naruto and his team headed to their gate, and saw Gaara and his team nearby. Naruto had his scroll tied to his back, the blades of Athena on his back. He then looked over at Sasuke's team, and saw that they had a heaven scroll, perfect. Naruto gained a dark grin, and patted his scroll. After returning from Wave, he examined it and saw what weapons were in the newest circle, and he liked what he saw. They all heard the large signal, and saw the gate open wide. The exam had begun. Naruto was leaping from branch to branch. Saya, Hinata, and Shino were right behind him. Naruto sensed a large amount of wind chakra heading their way. He sensed Sasuke's, Sakura's, and Kiba's chakra straight ahead, but knew it wasn't them doing this. Naruto was blown away, while Saya used a few of her paint beasts to keep the others down. When the wind died down, they noticed Naruto was gone, but knew that Naruto knew how to take care of himself. With Naruto crashed through a few of the trees, his scroll perfectly safe. He got up and saw a cave that had a very mysterious allure to it. Deciding going in couldn't hurt, he walked into the cave, and felt himself pass through a barrier. Wondering what needed such protection, he went forward, the torches on the walls lighting up as he passed them. He soon started to see pictures of winged beings on the walls, but instead of harpies that he saw when Kratos gave him the blades of chaos, he heard Kyuubi say, "By the old gods, this can't be. Love, you have no idea how lucky you are to have found this place." Naruto raised an eyebrow, and asked, "Why is this place so special?" He heard her say, "Because, the beings you see on the wall? They were a race of fallen angels, or that was what they were called. They had magnificent black wings, some of them actually took the appearance of birds, while others looked more like a man, but wore bird masks. They were great warriors." Naruto whistled, and said, "Damn, glad I'm not fighting them." Kyuubi giggled, and Naruto saw a scroll on a pedestal. Kyuubi couldn't believe her eyes, as she said, "You found the Blackwing contract. Unbelievable." Naruto stopped, and asked, "So wait, those guys are a class of summons? Like toads and snakes?" Kyuubi nodded, and said, "Yes, and while the boss is not as large as the ones for other summon bosses, he still deserves respect." Naruto then walked over to the scroll, and unfurled it with the utmost care. He remembered what Anko told him about summon contracts, and after he bit his thumb, signed his name in blood. Performing the correct hand seals, he slammed his right hand onto the ground, saying, "Summoning Jutsu." A large poof of smoke blocked his view of what he actually summoned. When it cleared, he saw a human-sized bird. It had 2 human arms, large wings, wore a type of battle armor, and its yellow eyes stared right at him. Blackwing Elfin the Raven. Naruto stared in amazement, and asked, "Who are you?" The bird scoffed, and to his surprise, said, "You summon me, and you ask who I am?" Naruto shook his head, and said, "I meant your name, as I can very well see that you must be the boss." The bird chuckled, and said, "Well, you are wrong in one aspect, I'm not the boss. High up yes, but not the boss. Me and the rest of my kin go by a sort of codename if you would. My name is Elfin, and my full title is Elfin the Raven." Naruto stared, seeing as this was the oddest summon he ever heard of, said, "My name is Naruto Namikaze, and to be honest, I found your kind summon scroll by accident." Elfin merely stared. "An accident? He found our scroll, by accident? There is no way, he just may be the one we have been looking for, getting past the barrier is proof of that." Elfin then shook his head, and said, "Accident or not, you are our new summoner. Normally, it is the boss who approves of such things, but I was given that task. Our kind is full of surprises, like one ability we have." He then touched Naruto on the chest, and Naruto felt an energy rush through his body. His eyes changed to gold with a slitted pupil, his red tattoos were replaced with black tattoos that covered his face. "Think Tsubaki Masamune mode." Naruto shook his head, and said, "The hell did you do to me?" Elfin started to laugh, which sounded more like a squawk, and he said, "That, my friend, is our summon clan's version of what is known by toads and snakes as sage mode. It is quite the handy additive." Naruto felt something sprout from his back, and saw large black wings, and he thought, "This is not what I expected." Elfin smirked, and said, "Like it? The moment I saw those blades, I knew you were the descendant of the god of war, and knew what you would need." He once wore a large pair of wings that he stripped from a man named Icarus, and I doubt they would have lasted this long. Naruto checked out the wings, and said, "So, is this your way of giving me a pair of wings?" Elfin nodded, and said, "I will inform the rest of my kin of this, so enjoy the form while it lasts. We will teach you about how to use it properly later." Naruto nodded, and said, "Thank you, this will be a great help." Elfin disappeared in a puff of smoke, and Naruto quickly ran outside, and with a flap of his wings, flew over the canopy of the forest, and he sensed his team near the three fools. He flew over the canopy, enjoying the feel of flight. He thought, so, even Kratos did this? Man, what hasn't the guy done? He was soon over the spot where his team was, and he dived down with the squads. Saya was livid, as were Shino and Hinata. Sasuke was knocked out, and Sakura was bitching and moaning against having either of the two girls there. Naruto floated down, his wings breaking apart as he did. He thought, man, guess that's what Elfin meant by enjoying it while it lasts. Sakura was terrified, and Naruto said, "Hello shitface, you done crapping yourself yet?" Kiba quickly got pissed, and said, "Where did you come from, asshole? You're not wanted here." Naruto tightened his grip on his blades, memories of what the villagers say when he was younger brought to the surface. Saya put a hand on his shoulder, and said, "You are one to talk, seeing as Orochimaru kicked the shit out of every one of you. Now we can do this the easy way, or the hard way. Give us your scroll, or die." Naruto's tattoos glowed slightly, and he said, "These fools would never hand it over, obviously, but that is beside the point. I did tell them what would happen if I saw them in this forest." Now even Kiba was getting scared. Akamaru jumping out of his coat and walked to Naruto's side. Naruto scratched the dog by the ears, and said, "Smart dog, he knows when to stop." Kiba growled, and said, "Traitor, that's it, I don't give a shit anymore, fong over fong." Kiba turned into a mini tornado, heading straight for Naruto, but Naruto moved his right arm in the way, and Kiba found himself being repelled back, and into a tree. Sakura saw gold armor on Naruto's arm, the plating having the depiction of a ram, and it glowed slightly. Naruto then said, "The golden fleece, a handy little item, very useful." Naruto then drew his blades, and slowly walked over to the trio, the blades looking very close to glowing red. He then said, "I told you fucks time and time again, fuck with me, and you will die. And now, there is no council to protect you, no law that will hinder me. It's just you, me, and whatever happens here, stays here." Sakura was truly frightened, and as she tried to run, Naruto swung one of his blades by the chain, and threw it at the pinkette. The blade flew through the air, and impaled Sakura through her stomach. He yanked the blade back, dragging her painfully along with it. She stared him in the face, and saw as he grabbed the handle of the blade, and pulled it straight down, cutting through her intestines, womb, and even her crotch. She was dead before she even hit the ground. Kiba regained consciousness, and saw Sakura on the ground. He backed up against the tree, as he saw one of Naruto's blades fly straight at him. It impaled him in the face. Naruto yanked the blade back, ripping a good amount of flesh along with it. Naruto then looked at Sasuke, and saw that he had a curse mark on his neck, and thought, so Orochimaru was here, guess I'll have to disappoint the fucker. Naruto forcefully opened Sasuke's eyes, and yanked each eyeball out of its socket. The first one woke Sasuke up, screaming in agony. The second eye ripped out made him scream louder. Naruto then slit his throat, ending the scream forever. He saw the eyes in his hands, and while disgusted, crushes them both, and threw them away, the once useful organs now nothing but mush. Saya, Kyubi, and even Hinata were turned on by this, Kyuubi shivering, and couldn't wait for him to fall asleep. The blades of Athena then started to glow red, the runes on the blade glowed with a deep shine, and Naruto started to laugh, a deep laugh that showed signs of death to come. The tower. Naruto and his team opened their scrolls, and when they saw Kurenai, she asked, "How did it all go?" Naruto answered, "It went perfect. Unfortunately, Sasuke's team was killed. It seems the team that got to them had the same scroll, and left it behind." Kurenai knew he was really saying, "We caught up to them and killed them." Kurenai then said, "Well, rooms have been prepared for those who made it early, and you have 3 days left." Naruto nodded, and went to the room prepared, as he was tired from all that happened. The moment he fell on the bed, he was fast asleep. Naruto's mindscape, lemon scene, same rules as always. Feeling a sense of déjà vu, Naruto walked into the temple-like structure, and saw a ribbon on the floor. Deciding to follow it, it led to a familiar bedroom, and he saw Kyuubi laying on the bed, the ribbon flowing down her body, between her breasts, down her stomach, and barely covering her entrance. She then got off of the bed, the ribbon falling as she did. She walked over to Naruto, her hips swaying, and she kissed Naruto long and deeply, removing his coat, and dragging him with her back to the bed, and they did naughty thing. Kyuubi collapsed onto Naruto, her body still feeling the orgasm. Naruto pulled the sheets over them, and said, "Just think, once you're out of here." Kyuubi smiled, and said, "I know, and I can't wait. But until then, it's nice to just be here, together." Naruto nodded, and the lovers fell asleep in each other's arms. Thanks for watching, please like, share, and subscribe.